How's it going, everybody? This is Least coming at you with Stromkarlen and our special producer today, Tim, for our 18th and final Apocalypse Show match. We've got a good one for you here today. We've got Rufus on the one hand versus Linko, aka Marshiell. So it's going to be a PVT today. It's Samyang Fire versus Team Socialized Healthcare.
If this is your first time tuning in, this is a Showmatch series brought to you guys from CPL. Today we have a special edition because both players were coached specifically for this best of 9. Linko was coached by Cryok and Rufus was coached by Models. Today, unfortunately, we are going to be casting from replays, so it's not going to be a live cast because we had a schedule conflict with the casters and one of our players was European, so it was just difficult. These matches were played this morning though, so they are new and no one's watched them and no one knows the score, so we're still excited to cast here today. The map pool is still the 8 CPL maps plus the old ladder map Escalade, and the map order was set by myself before the players played their games this morning. Series like this give our players at CPL a chance to prep a specific matchup on all the maps, because usually we only play best of 3s in CPL. And the lower tier matches, we've only done, this is only our second one, but they were kind of designed to give the up and coming players who have been practicing really hard a chance to do some serious prep with a coach. So I hope it's been an effective couple weeks of practice for them, and I'm excited to see the fruits of their effort.
And if you're new here, you're wondering what CPL is. Coach Pupil League, one of the gems of the foreign Brood War scene. It's a great opportunity to get coached by really strong players. We've got upwards of 2,000 MMR coaches. If you're feeling a little bit jealous you weren't able to get in on this season, don't worry. Playoffs are just about starting, which means it's almost time to prep for next season. Be sure to catch the rest of the CPL content for Season 5, and we'll have some in-between season events for you so that you can prepare for Season 6.
All right, guys, and if you enjoy this cast, of course, Season 5 of CPL is almost over. We do still have the Match of the Week on Thursdays at 6 p.m. EDT on the Coach Pupil League Twitch channel with Sat0. And we also have one more masterclass on Monday evening. Time kind of TBA, but it'll be in the evening for EDT. And that's going to be with Astro, aka Chris. So a Terran masterclass, and that's going to be on Keen's Twitch channel. So that should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter masterclass because only 2 players are playing. But I think we're going to see Xeno play some TVT, and Crazy is going to be playing as well, but I'm not sure which matchup.
And as always, we want to give a huge shout out to BSL and STPL, 2 of the top foreign leagues. BSL, a premier one-on-one league, and STPL, a top team league that actually has some Korean teams in there as well. I think BSL just about to be in the finals. I'll go ahead and link the link to Zero's Twitch chat and link to STPL's Twitch as well.
All right, guys, and as always, but especially for today, thank you for tuning in to this cast and all of our previous casts. We've casted a lot of Apocalypse matches this season. This is our final Apocalypse cast. So thank you guys for sticking around, for suggesting matches, for supporting the project that we have worked on this season. I hope you guys have enjoyed all the casts, and I hope you guys enjoy this cast here today.
I'm getting emotional, man.
Yeah, all right.
I went in a boy. I feel like I went in to this Apocalypse series a boy, and I came out a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, okay.
I so much.
Okay, go ahead.
No, it's all you.
Oh, I was just gonna say I do feel like we've improved a lot as casters, but I feel like from the amount of hours that we spent casting Apocalypse matches this season, we were bound to improve at least a little bit.
Yeah, I think we've definitely. I feel a lot more comfortable behind the mic. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable casting with you specifically, I think.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We're getting there. We don't talk over each other as much, unless we mention how we don't talk over each other, and then we inevitably do that like 7 times in a row.
Hey, I just can't help it.
It happens. What are you gonna do? Oh my gosh, we got Foxbat in the chat asking for a Foxbat versus least apocalypse show match. He doesn't want that work. He doesn't want that work.
I
But
want to see it. Not Game of Thrones. All right, I think that Tim is weirdly waiting for us to start this replay when in fact he should make us stop talking as absolutely as soon as possible.
yeah, really. If we don't get stopped, we just riff endlessly.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. All right, our first map today is going to be Fighting Spirit, and we do have our Protoss player Rufus in the upper left in the white, and our Terran player Marshiell in the bottom right. Isn't it white? It looks white to me. Maybe the Discord stream is bad.
Clearly peach. I don't know.
It looks white. I don't know. Look, I can't be blamed for the fact that the colors blend into the Protoss base color. All right. Anyways, it's do you know either of these players?
I know a little bit of Marshiell. I have casted her before. I don't know anything at all about Rufus.
Right. Okay. So Marshiell, I'm actually surprised that he joined the game under Marshiell because he's currently trying to change his ID to Linko. He is from StarCraft 2, Terran player, and I don't think he really played much before the season of CPL, but he's been working a lot with Cryok even before he was assigned Cryok specifically to coach him for this match. And he has been putting in a ton of hours for most of the season. I think the last couple of weeks he's tried to limit his game count per day to be slightly lower because he was finding it tiring to play so much. But he's been playing consistently and a lot all season. I know he hit 1700 recently on European ladder. So definitely a very strong Terran player. And he has been playing PvP a lot recently. So I'm really excited to see what he's prepared. Rufus is also new. He doesn't have a really strong gaming background in any game. I think he played StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty, like fairly seriously, but then hasn't really played since and hasn't really played any other game like competitively. I believe he started playing in Brood War in January, and he's improved a ton this season. He's kind of like that Butzelbear type player that is a little bit less prominent because he also went from tier 3 to like low tier 1, high tier 2 level this season. So I'm really excited to see what he's prepped, especially seeing how he's been working with models who really favors a kind of hands-on coaching style, whereas Cryok, I think, does a lot more replay review.
Can we just point out what is the similarity between all three of the players that have improved very fast? We got Tim, we got Rufus, and we got Butzelbear.
I just said Marshiell improved really fast as well, man. Come on.
Come
what
on.
about Father? Okay, here's your common denominator. None of them play Zerg.
None of them play Zerg, exactly. That's the real... I mean, it's just an impossible race. How are you supposed to win? All your units are so weak.
It's like you just lose all your games and then suddenly you're 2k MMR and then you start winning. But like it's like an instant jump. Or at least that's what it seems like, because all the top players seem to be Zergs and all the CPL players just seem to lose their games.
Okay, so Tim pointed out to us we do have a second factory. I appreciate that, Tim. I was waiting for the right time. But this is bold play to start out the series. Cross spawns, so it's going to be a bit easier for Rufus to hold, but Rufus is going for one gateway expand, which is pretty much exactly what two factory is designed to counter. So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult.
All right, so does this basically come down to micro, or is there a response that Rufus can do right now to counter this 2-factory build better than he is already?
Well, ideally, what happens is instead of getting your robo immediately, you delay the robo for 2 gateways, and that helps a lot. But also, with the 23 Nexus that he did, 23 Nexus is actually a lot better against 2-factory than 28 Nexus because regardless of whether or not you delay the robo, you get those 3 gateways down much quicker. So you'll be able to get, there's this crucial number of 7 Dragoons, where once you get to 7 Dragoons, if you go for 3 gateways, you're pretty much safe against any early aggression that the Terran can put on. And then you can just cut and do other stuff.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, we see that Tim just pointed out to us that it is a double add-on 2-factory. Do you always get double add-on when you do 2-fact?
I'm not super sure. I don't believe so. We got Foxbat in the chat calling Timmy Tank 2-fact.
Yeah, I thought this was like a tank heavy 2-fact, right? If you get double add-on.
Yeah, you're definitely tank heavy here, which makes it a lot scarier. Like if we've got siege mode coming down first, so definitely the tanks are going to be the bulk of this 2-factory push, which I think objectively isn't quite as strong, but it can be super scary. Like if you just get tanks sieged in a good position and the Protoss isn't super good at engaging, it's just so hard to beat.
Right. And we do see that Marshiell has brought 5 Marines and 3 SCVs along with the Vulture and the 3 tanks. And Rufus seems to have not 7 Dragoons. He only has 6. So we do have 1 tank in siege mode, gets the shot off right away, and 3 Dragoons going down almost immediately in exchange for 1 tank. Looks like Marshiell going to go ahead and throw down a bunker, and Protoss's natural is now under siege.
Yeah, this is really, really not ideal engagement from a Protoss player. Just tank splash damage is so deadly that if you're going to engage like that, you really have to spread out your Dragoons very well. Otherwise, they're going to get eaten alive by those siege tanks. And you can see the downside of putting those pylons out front. Rufus now supply blocked 50 out of 42. It's going to be hard for him to get reinforcements in here to help defend.
All right, so does he just lose the natural at this point?
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility. What you can do is get a shuttle like he's doing right now and shuttle bomb. There is a turret there.
Unlucky with the mind drag.
Losing the shuttle actually really sick though. Yeah, the natural's gonna go down.
I really like this play from Marshiell. It's just like I love the aggression in right in game 1. We do have GG called from Rufus. But I just really like that play, just opening with the 2-fact right off the bat.
Yeah, I think really an underrated part of Terran versus Protoss is that there's so many, like, it's so easy to get caught in the trap of I'm just going to only ever go 3 base 2-1 push. But there's a lot of strong timings for Terran.
I feel like
if you take full advantage, it gets really irritating for Protoss.
I feel like you're throwing shade at that Crazy versus King Pie series. I just always feel it in the back of my mind, you know?
No, I would never. My boy Crazy is my favorite human being on the planet.
Rude.
With the exception of Foxbat, obviously. I'm not trying to throw shade.
All right, we do have our Terran player Marshiell in the bottom left-hand corner of match point, our second map, and our Protoss player Rufus in the upper right. But yeah, shout out to Foxbat for being just the greatest.
Foxbat in the chat, if Least idols are all Terrans, why doesn't Least play Terran?
I mean, I've told Least to play Terran before.
It's too easy. It's too easy. That's the problem. Kappa. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, I don't know. I
I'm
feel
so
like you really
disappointed
gotta love the
already.
memes like Protoss, you know?
You gotta love the memes for sure.
Yeah.
But my boy Rufus not even going for a gas steal on a 2-player map with like the position where you can gas steal super easily. That's
Right.
some
Can you talk
disrespect.
a little bit about that?
Gas steal is super strong. So basically, what happens for those of you new to the game, you send out a probe very early, and because of the way Protoss builds, they just warp in buildings instead of having to sit there with a worker like Zerg and Terran do. You can actually you can put down an assimilator on the opponent's gas so they are unable to mine, which is super strong against Terran because Terran's whole strategy in this matchup is rushing for tech units, and all tech units take gas. So if they're unable to get tanks, they just get increased a super weak spot, and it's super easy to abuse them either by putting on a lot of pressure. You can try and expand behind it. There's just a lot of different things you can do.
And why on match point and in these spawns are you surprised that he didn't do it?
Oh, 2-player maps are popular for gas steals because, of course, you know exactly where the opponent is at. And it's even more popular when the gas is facing towards the entrance, like you can see on match point. If the spawns were reversed, I don't think it would be nearly as strong of a move because you would have to go like past. You would have to go past all the buildings to try and get to the gas. So you'd have to do something sneaky with your probe if you wanted to go for that. But with the other spawn, you literally just run your probe in there, immediately throw it down, and they have to be really on point to try and avoid that.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Looks like we have Rufus going for 1 gate tech again this game. And I guess we'll have to see if Terran decides to do another early push or just go into a standard kind of siege expand or something.
We actually
Similar
see some
build.
heavy zealot pressure, which I like a lot. It's pretty. You see 3 zealots and a cybernetics core that's not finished yet. So this is dedication to aggression here.
Okay, so you go off 1 gateway and you just build zealots before you tech. Is that how that works?
That's correct. Yeah, it does delay your tech a bit, but it's so difficult for Terran to sim city well and also micro well enough to use your little micro holes from your sim city, because the only advantage that Marines have against zealots are that they're ranged. Everything else, Marines just get absolutely slaughtered by zealots, so you have to micro very well to hold this. Getting a couple kills with this first zealot, but now that the vulture is out, this should be a much easier hold for for Marshiell.
Right, and we also saw that he had already built quite a few Marines. I feel like I see Terrans a lot of the times only build like 2 Marines or even 1 Marine. But I think he had 3 or 4, didn't he? When that zealot came in, because he was microing 3 around the wall and then he lost 1.
It's part of scouting. If you scout zealot
Right.
first, then you gotta make
Keep
up
building
to
them.
3 or 4.
Right, that
But
makes
if
sense.
it's just a dragoon, then you can get away with just a couple.
All right. Well, after that early zealot pressure, we do see that Terran is going to go ahead and expand at the natural, and there is a bunker with Marines at the front, so he is safe for the moment.
Okay, I've been not bringing this up. I didn't want to make you look bad. I thought Marshiell was a she. Am I wrong?
You are incorrect.
I am incorrect. Oh my gosh, I'm so ashamed of myself.
Yeah.
Of
should be.
course, I'm incorrect. Yeah, naturally, as Tim says. Okay,
If there's one thing I can be relied upon to do, it's get people's pronouns right for the most part when I'm casting.
that's true. That's true. All right. I am glad that I asked.
I did have to double check though, so you don't have to feel too bad. All right, looks like
back
we
to the
do
game
have.
though.
Yeah, we had mines before Siege, right?
Yeah, generally you like getting mines before Siege is Terran because it gives you more map control.
Oh, I
Um,
see.
Siege is a very defensive thing. It's like getting lurkers. Uh, it's really hard to be aggressive with mines or with Siege mode at the very beginning because you just get run over by Protoss. But mines, until they get observers, you can at least get out on the map, be kind of annoying. Maybe mine off one of their expansions.
Right, right. That makes sense. Yeah, mine's like so that they can't expand. I don't know. I find that really irritating as a Zerg player playing against mech. So I can see that being irritating against Protoss as well. I even have overlords to deal with it.
Yeah, imagine having free plus observers are so bad. Like they're like 25 health and there's so much gas.
They're
Don't
invisible.
even get me started. Don't even, they're invisible, but what does it matter? Like everyone has detection. Zerg has free detection, so it's not like it's going to matter against Zerg. And Terran literally has map hacks, so I don't want to hear it from Terran.
I see. You know, I thought we were gonna see all the like Protoss salt on Wednesday, when we casted that PVZ, but apparently today's the day.
Today is the day. Terran
Today
actually
is the day,
grinds my
folks.
gears way worse. Zerg makes sense. You just hit your timings and then hopefully win. And if you
Right,
don't
right.
win, it's like, okay, I didn't control well enough. But Terran, I'm like, okay.
But Terran's the one that's hitting the timings.
Yeah, exactly. Terran just hits their timings and then you're like, all right, I guess I lose.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's how it is playing against Protoss, though. All right, looks like Rufus, not expanding yet.
We're going for a fast 2-base Arbiter play. Whenever you see a second gas and a Citadel before the third expansion, you're signifying that you're going to get faster Arbiters.
Right, right. I heard someone say recently that this is kind of getting popular or more popular lately. Is that true? And why?
To be honest, in my
I think with
totally biased
Luigi.
opinion, I think it's the Jinjin tutorial. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like he just
Oh,
made one. He just made one on fast arbiters for PVT, and it's just also from a more meta perspective, not just saying it's Jinjin lol. It's helpful against the 3-base 2-1 push because when you hit the 3-base 2-1 push correctly against a standard build, they have like one stasis. Whereas when you get faster arbiters, you can have like 3 stases, which is extremely strong. You can stasis like half their tanks. It's absurd. If they just have them all clumped up, their army strength goes down exponentially.
right. So what's the trade-off with that? Do you have just like less economy, less army?
Yeah, you have less economy generally, unless you're a weaker player. You will be able to be maxed out by the time Terran maxes, but you just don't have as many bases. So basically, the trade is you are more likely to win the one big fight, but you're a lot less likely to win follow-up fights because you just don't have the army.
Oh,
Whereas with a more traditional style, you're a lot less likely to win the first fight, but you have a bigger chance of just overrunning them with sheer numbers later on.
right. So you're like setting yourself up better for late game while making the mid game engagement harder.
Exactly.
Right, right. But I guess if you're confident in your late game, this makes sense because that would be the opportunity for you to die to Terran, right?
Right. Either one. I'm not going to say one is like good or bad for late game because they both transition into late game fairly well. It's just a stylistic choice. If you like being gateway man, if you're just like a best kind of person, and you'd rather just focus on controlling your army well, going for a lot of expansions is the play for you. If you like really using your spellcasters to their full potential, you like really trying to perfect that one fight, going 2 base arbiter is probably for you.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. We do see though that Rufus is floating a ton of money while he's doing this. I think he's still ahead on supply, although it's a little bit difficult to read our Discord stream. Is that 96 or 86?
96.
96. Okay, so decent supply lead. Not great. I do feel like, does he not have enough gateways? Like, I'm kind of confused as to why he's floating so much money right now. Or is he just missing macro man?
He's not macroing insanely well, but also with this style, you want to get up to like 10 and then take a 4th and then get up to like, you just spend as much money as you possibly can. Once you get to 4 bases with this fast arbiter style, according to Light, you are really set and you just gateway up as hard as you can until you're maxed.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. What about the worker count from either side? Is that pretty typical for them to be pretty even?
It's with this style, it's going to be more even. You'd like to see. What I know from the Protoss perspective is that he's definitely been missing some workers. You'd like to see like 60 workers by 9 minutes for Protoss, and we see Rufus is just at 55, 12 minutes into the game. I wasn't keeping super close tabs on exactly where he was at, but that's just standard. If you're not playing at T1 level, you're gonna miss some.
Right.
We do see Marshiell pushing in here, trying to take this bottom right high ground.
Okay, a little engagement there from Protoss, but he goes ahead and backs up after doing a little bit of damage. Does have his Zealots on one side and his Dragoons on the other. Looks like he's going to try and move his Zealots through these tanks and then moving the Dragoons up onto the high ground. Looks like he's going to be able to easily take out these tanks.
Yeah, that was just not enough units for Marshiell.
All right, looks like Protoss is going to be able to get his 4th base up and running.
Okay, I like this a lot, actually. Double Stargate Arbiters. Once you get onto 3 gases, you can support 2 Stargates worth of Arbiters, or you can go Arbiter Templar. So it's really helpful. Like I said, the scariest part of playing against Terran is when they have a super strong maxed out push and you've got 1 stasis. But once you get
really
later on in the game,
you can only like micro your engagement so much. There's a point where you just need the spells to help you out, right?
Exactly. Especially against mech, you can only get so far with pure Goon Zealot. But if you survive the initial push, which Rufus did, and then you can just pump out double Stargate Arbiters, and you have like 7 Arbiters and they all have a stasis, and you just stasis their entire army. Oh my gosh, does it feel like the best thing in the world? Or what? Like, it actually is so great. I'm not gonna lie. Just
we used to daydreaming about PvT, guys.
Just stasising like 9 tanks is actually my favorite thing in the world. But we got a little bit of vulture harass coming in here from Marshiell. Looks like it's going to be pretty effective. There's no defense here.
Right, Rufus actually just cannons out of position. He should have had one in the mineral line, right? And he's going to get like every probe at this base.
I would have had both in the mineral line, to be honest. And this is classic Terran versus Protoss tactics, especially late in the game. As Terran, you want to be continually stressing the Protoss economy. So you want to do vulture harass, things like this. Because if you don't, Protoss is just going to grow out of control.
All right, nice little zealot counterattack, forcing the lift on the CC at the
We've
fourth
got a
base.
recall coming in. We've got a recall coming
Oh
in.
yeah, recall. Looks like we don't really have the base mined, and he's going to be able to recall right on top of the factories.
I actually kind of like this all zealot recall, just because, like Flash said it in one of his guides, if you recall all your dragoons and you lose them all to mines for whatever reason, like you just didn't see that there were mines there, you're pretty fucked. But
right,
if you recall all your zealots, and they still do a great job against SCVs, they still do a great job against buildings and all that, and that's what you're trying to hit with these recalls. But if you lose all your zealots, you just bang out more zealots. It's fine. They're easy to replace.
right. I mean, we saw him just get a ton of SCVs between the attack at 6 o'clock and the attack on the main, because he lost all of his probes at his fourth, and looks like he lost his fourth nexus as well. But those two attacks are allowing him to actually equalize the worker count, even though they're both really low on workers right now. Rufus, of course, with a very large supply lead at the moment, 174 to 130 or 142.
And the crucial thing is, I don't know if Marshiell can really take a third or a fourth. Wow, I classic least. God damn it, dude! I hate my life. I'm gonna stop talking.
Oh, well, that leaves me to talk about PBT. So, how's the weather,
Okay.
guys? No. Well, I think the real story here is that he wasn't able to get a hold of a third gas, right? Like, he has this third base, but it's a mineral only, so that means that you're really vulture heavy.
Tim keeps pointing out the fourth base that he's taken for us.
Right.
I'm
He
just
hasn't.
stupid.
He took it before, but he lost all the SCVs. Like almost immediately with the zealots that were down at 6. But he is going to be mining gas from there now, but it hasn't quite kicked in yet. I guess they both kind of have a little bit of a bank just from macro, but they're both trying to replace their workers right now. So we have a little bit of a ceasefire at the moment.
It's going to be really difficult for... This is kind of a trap you can get into as Protoss, where you have like 180 supply, and you're just like, oh, I'm just going to make a round of zealots real quick. But you didn't realize, you forgot that all the supply you lost was due to vulture harass, and then you just end the game and you have 30 workers, and you look at the replay, you're like, why'd I lose? It's like, oh, I had 30 fucking workers, that's why.
All right, it does look like they both replenished their worker count to the exact same number of 37. I don't know that this is optimal, but at least it's even. We do have some zealots running into some vultures, hitting mines, and possibly not being terribly effective, but Rufus definitely seems to have the upper hand in these engagements. He's been mining from his fourth base for longer, and he really did smash that 2-1 push.
Yeah, I think the issue for Marshiell is just that push out earlier on in the game. He just really wasn't ready to push out at that point, and as such, it delayed a really strong push for so long that Rufus was able to just have infinite arbiters. He was able to have
well, he's really
exactly
able to
what he needed.
Yeah, he was able to catch back up on Army, right? Like, by the time he had a lot of units, he actually had his third and fourth base kicking in. Whereas, like, you were telling me that the strength with 2-1 against 2 base arbiters is more in the fact that if you trade well, even if you lose your push early on, it's more difficult for them to get back in the game economically in the late game because they attack so quickly early on.
Exactly. And one of the things you can actually do against 2 base arbiter is go a little bit more tank heavy, and because you're going to lose some to stasis, of course, but also it just makes your army that much stronger at a time when it's really difficult for them to trade effectively because they just don't have that much army.
Right.
But didn't end up happening. Marshiell just decided to push out fast as possible. We do see Rufus checking for another base up in the top left corner, and Marshiell trying to get some vulture harass done, but everything looking pretty locked down from the Protoss side.
Yeah, it seems like he's in a good position. He hasn't lost his fifth base. I think he's going to be able to get some probes up there. He also actually reprobed a little bit heavier than Marshiell did. So even if he's behind on probes, he's at least ahead on probes as far as like the SCV count goes. Marshiell definitely needs to take a fourth base. Looks like he might try and take top left because he does have an SCV there, and I think he has one command center that's floating as well. Yeah, there we go. But I think that if Rufus sniffs this out, he should be able to shut it down before it gets set up because he is quite ahead on supply. And Terran, of course, like Mech, very good defensively, but can be difficult to push out and vulnerable before you get it set up.
True facts.
I try and say things that are so vague that I cannot be wrong.
You really are
especially in this
succeeding.
matchup.
You're killing the game.
I know nothing. I know nothing about this matchup. I'm trying. Tim tried to teach me, but I'm just dumb. I can't do it, guys.
Well, it's pretty simple, really. Protoss just abuses the Terran until the Terran rage quits. It's
right.
Nothing too bad, unless the Terran gets angry and decides to two-fact, in which case auto win.
All right. Brood War with these guys. I don't know what Terran's upgrades are, but Protoss is on 3-3. All right, 3-2. I'm not sure. I feel like he should have 3-3 by now, but I don't know Terran timings, so maybe I'm wrong.
No, I mean 22 minutes in the game, you should definitely have 3-3.
I also don't know how important upgrades are in this matchup, though. Although I think this is the beginning of the end.
Important for Terran to get upgrades because, like, 1-0, not that scary. 2-1, very scary. 3-2, you pretty much are impossible to fight against without double Stargate Arbiters or Templars and Arbiters. You can see, even though Terran had the low ground, actually trading really well against this Protoss army that was much bigger. Finally, a stasis does get thrown down, and Rufus looking like he's going to clean this third base up. Slowly, Marshiell just kind of starving out here.
Right. I mean, he's not quite at half the supply right now, but he's getting close to that point. And we do see nice mind drag on that tank. But I think that once these stasis wear off, as long as he sends his reinforcements, he got that CC, we should be getting close to a victory for Protoss here. There's not really much more Terran can do at this point. He's mining out. He lost his third base. He doesn't really have a lot of push left in him, I think. And Protoss managed to get off that 12 o'clock location, so he won't be mining out anytime soon.
You know, I really like, I don't know, just trying to split this map. Like Crazy did against King Pie. You can really hold the high ground very well. So I think that's a lot stronger than trying to go for an aggressive timing push with how long the push distance is on this map.
That makes a lot of sense to me. It seems like really dangerous if Terran can get set up on your high ground between the fourth and the third for Protoss. But you're definitely right that it's a long way across the map. And it kind of seems like the closer the timing pushes can be, the better that is for Terran. And it is like on PvZ as well. It's like split map on 2-player maps. It's kind of a difficult position for Zerg, and it seems like similar with PvT, except instead of for Zerg, it's for Protoss.
Exactly. So Marshiell almost getting some vulture harass done. The probe's just escaping. Gave me a little bit of a heart palpitation there. I was like, are they gonna get picked off? Science vessel chasing around. There's this dance that's hilarious with arbiters and science vessels trying to chase each other around.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What's the dance? Oh, he's got a lot of arbiters, man.
It's like the tango, you know?
Tango?
Like, I don't know. I don't even know what the tango is, dog. I just say things. Oh, pretty nice EMP. But there's just too much Protoss here.
Yeah. I mean, Terran's on 25 workers, and he really is half the supply now. So I feel like Rufus should be able to just come down and finish him off at this point, especially with 4 arbiters. Not sure if he still has 4. He might have lost one to a turret. But I mean, he's playing it safe. And Terran is trying to take top left, but I have a feeling he's going to die before he gets it.
Even if he gets top left, he just doesn't have enough workers.
Right, exactly. Alright, the turret defense late game for Marshiell is actually pretty good. He wasn't able to get any arbiters in after that first recall. But he just lost too many engagements on the map. So definitely difficult to come back from that. Alright, GG is up from our Terran player. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Really illustrates the difficulty of Terran versus Protoss for Terran. Like, you just need to hit a strong timing at some point. Because if you don't, the timing wasn't. It kind of just felt to me like Marshiell was like, okay, I'm just gonna push out and see what happens. It wasn't a build that I'm aware of, so it was pretty easily crushed. And by the time you're able to get back to that critical mech army, Protoss is just too big.
Lise, would you like to do the honors?
I would love to. All right, in the 10 o'clock position, we have our black Terran player, Marshiell. And in the top right corner, we have our blue Protoss player, Rufus.
Alright. The map is Taucross, since Lise neglected to mention it.
Do you really have to mention the map when you're introducing the players and it's right on the screen?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's well, I mean, we both know who's playing as well. And I feel like you can tell that the Protoss player is Rufus and the Terran player is Marshiell after 2 games. But we do it anyways.
That's true. You got me there. You got me there.
We're all about redundancy here on the Apocalypse Showmatch.
All about. We're really.
I mean, that's why Lise is here.
StarCraft.
That's why Lise is here. It's our motto, just to be redundant.
That's disrespect.
You're right. It's true. Also, Fox said I will never play Terran. I can't deal with the fact that to play Terran or Protoss, I would have to learn where to put my buildings. I just like having to know where to place your buildings in order to fit them in a main just sounds like the type of nightmare that I'm not prepared for.
I definitely thought you were gonna pull like a Insom type thing where it's like, I just have too much honor to play Protoss.
Nah, man, I have no honor at all.
You're like, I want those easy wins. The whole SimCity thing.
Too much. Yeah, I don't have the attention span for it, man. I just like I can't think about learning another set of hotkeys. Like, learning one set of hotkeys for somebody who doesn't know how to use a keyboard was challenging enough, and I'm still bad at them. So like, off racing isn't really a possibility for me at the moment.
One of these days, we'll teach you how to type.
Yeah, good luck with that. I'm pretty atrocious, to be honest. All right. I think you skipped the Zealot this time.
Oh, we got 2-gate coming from Rufus.
So is this, what build is this? Is this 10-15?
10-15 gate, yeah.
Right. So this is an aggressive opening from Protoss with Dragoons, right?
This is one of the most aggressive. Like, obviously you could go 3-gate, 4-gate, but that's like, if you don't kill him, you're just dead. 2-gate, 10-15 gate is the most aggressive you can be while still having a reasonable transition path out of it.
All right. Marshiell does scout at second. So not a really fast scout off this. What does Terran's response have to be from this build? We do see that he's going for a factory expand because, or possibly a 2-fact, depending on. But he did actually keep his SCVs on gas. I'm not sure if that means that you're 2-facting.
Generally it does. I don't think that going 2-fact into a 10-15 gate, it's just not gonna work out well for you. So
right.
What Marshiell can do now is just rush for siege mode, get the expo as fast as possible, and then weather the storm. Because
right. So even if the plan was 2-fact, as soon as you scout 10-15, you cancel the plan and go siege expand.
That's pretty much my understanding. I don't play Terran, but I could not imagine trying to stick with 2-fact against 2-gate unless you like absolutely have already thrown down your second factory and you're just like, well, I guess I'm going to try and micro.
Right, that makes a lot of sense to me. This positioning seems good too. He already has 2 SCVs pulled, just to make sure that they're ready to defend as soon as the Goon Rain finishes. And looks like he's going to try and rescout with this SCV as well. Nice move from Terran. It actually takes how many goon shots does it take to kill an SCV? It's something absolutely ridiculous, right?
It takes 6.
Wow.
6. A unit that costs 125.50 takes 6 shots to kill a worker.
All right. Looks like Marshiell has pulled quite a few SCVs here. I don't know. Is it really necessary to have this many SCVs pulled?
This is an overreaction. You just need one per Dragoon. So I would have stuck with like, I guess to repair the barracks as well. You could have a couple. But at the end of the day, better safe than sorry. We do see Rufus going for the Bulldog, which is 2-gate into Robo, into Shuttle, into Zealot Bomb the siege tanks, and hope you win.
Oh, that sounds like a fun build. I'm excited to see it.
It's a pretty fun build. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I was expecting to see this build from Rufus because I did hear a little rumor that he was practicing it with models. So I'm excited to see the results of that.
Yeah, it's just so... I was never a big fan just because I suck at micro. So it's like any way I could make the game stretch on longer so that I didn't have to deal with micro was good for me. But we do have 2 Marines in the bunker and a missile turret coming up, so very possible that the shuttle just goes down.
All right, doesn't even manage to get the Dragoon out. This seems like a little bit of a miscoordinated attack as well. He didn't have the Dragoons on the ground coming in and hitting at the same time as he dropped the shuttle, but he does manage to get the bunker before the SCVs can repair it. I think he might be a little bit too scared here. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you could just mind drag with one of them.
Right, and then try and mind drag into the siege tank.
But the scary thing is you don't really know how many mines there are. You know there can't be too many because they went siege first. So it's not like they have a billion mines. But when you're this committed to an attack, if you run into one mine and it kills 3 Dragoons, you just lost the game.
Right.
So it's pretty scary.
Right. We do have Marshiell going to come and lay some mines out in front of his natural now, just to keep the Dragoons from running in and sniping. and sniping any of his units. I think we did see that Rufus is going to both double expand and go Reaver out of this.
Oh, Reaver, okay.
He's gonna have to get another shuttle though. Yeah.
I can dig it.
I mean, I personally love Reaver.
I love Reavers. I don't know. I feel like Reavers are so hit or miss. Literally. Like, either you hit and then you kill 7 SUVs, or it bugs out and then you just spent 15 minerals on something that didn't do any damage at all.
Alright. Looks like Terran's going to get a starboard and trying to get a Wraith out to deal with the shuttle. But we do see that, like, Protoss is behind on workers just because of that exchange at the beginning. Just the fact that he built units and cut probes, I'm assuming, to get that build out.
Yeah, and it's just a very slow expansion. I don't know if Marshiell knows that a Reaver's coming. I think this might be for drops. But regardless, the fact that Marshiell is getting an early starport against this Reaver is going to be super helpful. As soon as you see the Reaver, you're just like, okay, I'll just make a Wraith.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess if he's getting the control tower right away, it does mean that it's for drops, right?
Yeah. Generally, when you see starport like that, it's almost always for drops, unless specifically they've like been inside the Protoss main and they know that Reaver's coming, or if they got scans relatively fast, which I guess Marshiell does have scans. I didn't see that for a second there. There is a pretty big open area here that Rufus can drop in. Pretty good micro. Oh, never mind. I take it back. No! What?
All right, so that was I guess what Lise was talking about with the Reavers. Bit of an unfortunate incident. I guess the Zealot didn't draw all the tank fire or something, and then the second shot hit the Reaver. So I think that at this point Rufus is pretty far behind. So we'll have to see how he does. That is a very nice L of gateways, though, I must say. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's actually a good Sim City, but it looks really neat.
I'm a big fan of the 3 pylons with 4 gateways on either side, but you got to spell out stuff with your gateways every once in a while. Here's the thing: he's gonna spell out L in this game, and then win it, and then spell out O in the second game, and win it, and then spell out L for LOL in 3 consecutive wins.
Okay, but do you remember that one game that Jealous played against Funny Banana Man, where he was making pylon art in the bottom right and then lost the game?
Oh, true. True. Rip Jealous.
Really, he should have been making gateway art, because at least that's useful.
At least. That's the thing, though. If it's useful, is it really that BM?
True. All right, looks like we do have Marshiell with the dropship, double dropship actually, on the map. Oh yeah, okay. Tim pointing out this is the specialty of Tau Cross, and actually the reason why Tim hates it with such a passion is that you can put tanks on the ledge above the natural, and it's really frustrating for Protoss to clear. So that's the deal with this. So definitely, I like the fact that Marshiell is taking advantage of that feature on this map. It definitely means that he has at least series prepped a little bit and looked at the maps and devised strategies specifically for the maps, which is basically the whole point of running these series. So it's really nice to see proof that that's going on.
Oh my gosh. And this is just brutal. Like, the double drop with the vultures forcing the probes out of the main just to get hit by all these siege tank shots in the natural. Absolutely class play for Marshiell.
Right, really nice like 2-pronged attack. And we do have, like, Rufus is down to 15 probes, I think, after that attack. So definitely Protoss is hurting a lot in this situation. He's still up in supply, but for how long? Truly, because Terran is approaching 50 SCVs. And looks like he's going to do a 5. Oh, he's putting out a 6 factory, so I guess he's going to try and take a 3rd. I have no idea. Oh, yeah, he is taking a 3rd.
Oh, 7 factories. Oh, he's just floating it over. Okay. Yeah, this seems pretty normal. I was wondering where that 3rd command center was.
Yeah, I do hope we see some, like, 5 fact, like, or 2 base, 2-1, like, timing pushes, because I feel like those are really cool to see from Terran and TBT. But
I agree. Like, it's just so much more of an interesting matchup when Terran mixes it up and takes advantage of all the builds at their disposal, which I recognize super difficult to do all the time, especially when you're just trying to learn the game. But it's really interesting stuff.
right. Also, shout out to Marshiell's turret ring. We just caught a glimpse of that as Tim was showing us the main, and it's pretty intense. But also, we have an engagement in the middle of the map here. Protoss moving into the Terran army. He does have a lot of zealots, and definitely more zealots than there are tanks in this little part as well. So it looks like he might be able to actually deny this 3rd base, which I feel like is... I don't know. I didn't know that he was going to be able to do that considering the position that he was in.
Yeah, I think it's funny because he's up on supply a reasonable amount, but considering how much he's down in workers, his army is actually gigantic in comparison.
Right. So what factors led into that happening, even though he seemed to have a weaker economy after the failed aggressive opening? Like, why is his army so big?
Just Protoss things. To be honest, I don't really... I think part of it was not enough vultures. Oh, yeah, Foxbatsan killed workers but didn't kill army, which makes a lot of sense. You sacrifice 2 tanks, 4 vultures just to harass. That's a really big investment for Terran.
Right, and I guess he did lose 1 tank early on as well.
Yeah, truth. So it ended up just being, if you have enough tanks, then you're not going to have enough vultures to protect those tanks. And then if you build a bunch of vultures, you're just not going to be able to fight straight out.
Right. Okay, looks like Rufus is catching up on workers. He is going to need to take a 4th base, I think, at some point here. Looks like he might try and take 12. It seems like it's really close to Protoss to me. How do you feel about taking that base? That mineral only? I feel like you should take the other main at this point, but I'm a Zerg player, so who knows? Or even that, like 4 o'clock base?
I think both of those options are better than this mineral only, for sure. The farther away you can get from Terran, the better. Especially considering it doesn't look like Rufus is going into any kind of... Oh, okay. You just go in the pylon, I guess, to try and see if any drops are coming in, it looks like.
Okay.
So really no interest in expanding. All of a sudden, I was not paying attention to the worker count for like 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden Rufus is up to 45 workers. That's a feels bad for Marshiell. Like, losing your 3rd, and you just don't know how much damage you did with the worker harass. Like, you can never know that you got him down to 15 workers.
Right. So, I mean, it's impossible to tell. You didn't know how many he had in the first place. You don't know how many units that is, like how many probes he has at his 3rd. I guess he should have known that he was low on workers in general because of the opening. So any economic damage hurts. But yeah, I mean, the fact is, though, that those probes, he had to build them later on in the game, and they weren't mining the whole time. So we do see that Terran is catching up on supply with Protoss, and now he doesn't have that worker buff. So his army doesn't seem like it's a lot bigger than Terran's anymore.
Right. I really think if Terran's able to hit a strong timing, a strong max out timing, this could be deadly for Rufus. Of course, mech, very hard to control. So it's not necessarily an auto win for Marshiell.
Right. I guess it'll really depend on the engagement in the middle of the map, right?
That's what a lot of PvT comes down to. Sometimes is just how well both sides engage and how the stasis go, how the counterattacks, things of that nature go. Oh,
All right.
more vulture harass.
Counterattacks. We do have some vulture harass. Going to go ahead and deplete Rufus's worker count even more. These vultures actually got a ton of probe, kind of causing Rufus's newly renewed probe count to plummet again. Not as much as before, but definitely not ideal.
If Rufus wins this game,
if Rufus wins this game, what?
I don't understand anything. I don't understand anything about anything.
I mean, just if he wins this game.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That was uncalled for.
I will just leave you to dwell on that for the moment.
That hurt.
I'm sorry. I'm not really that sorry though, you know. Just because I'm Canadian.
Exactly. You gotta say you're sorry.
Yeah. It's like reflex at this point. I can't help it. It just happened. Okay, we did have Rufus also take a 4th base, and both parties are maxed now, with comparable banks. I think that Rufus at this point, in ideal situations where he wasn't as behind as he is now, he probably should have more of a bank.
Right. Yeah.
Wait.
You definitely want to be banked up in preparation for this Terran push.
Okay, I really just can't read the supplies, so I'm gonna stop trying. All right, we do have the engagement coming in here from Protoss. Looks like he's actually winning this this fight for the moment. Nice like widespread engagement coming out from Rufus, and looks like Marshiell might not have all of his units out here. I'm not sure. It seems like he took out quite a few siege tanks. Nice defensive matrix though by Marshiell.
Defensive matrix, pretty good spell. Pretty good spell. But Protoss, pretty good race. So
that was a really nice engagement from Rufus. He really had his units coming from 3 directions. Yeah. I don't know. It was just like pretty impeccable on his part, I feel like.
I definitely agree. That was yeah, Foxbat saying Terran wasn't grouped up in the fight. Agree for sure. The biggest thing that makes it hard to control mech is that if you're too spread out, then half your army isn't fighting, and it's basically like you stasis yourself. Like half your army isn't fighting, and then they can just take on 2 separate halves. But then if you get too close, then it's just like, well, 1 stasis, GG, no re, they got 8 tanks.
Right. That's actually one thing that I really liked when we were watching Crazy play, is I feel like he split his tanks really well. Like they were like not close enough to have like insane stasis, but they were like together enough for him to have a really effective push. All right, we do have some zealots trying to clear some of these mines, but going to be taken out by the vultures in the front of Marshiell's army. Oh, those are some thick mines all over the zealots.
Those mines just eating zealots. These vultures gonna... Yeah, okay, good. Marshiell running away with the last of the vultures.
Right.
Before these dragoons can come eat them.
Looks like Marshiell is planning on taking that base just to the right of his 3rd as a 4th. It's probably about time, as I think he looks like he's mined out in his main and his natural, and he's only mining from his 3rd right now. Yeah, so he really should be thinking about building another command center. Rufus also hasn't expanded though to a 5th, just sitting on 4 bases at the moment, and both of them on 54 workers. I'm just here to read out the supply count so that I can't actually read, just because I don't actually know what's going on. So
That's why you gotta have the second monitor where you can just view the stream at a 2-second delay.
right, but the thing is that you're watching the Twitch chat, so really it's useful for me to read out the supplies because otherwise you just wouldn't know what's going on, right?
That's true. I agree with you 100%. I never claimed to be a perfect man.
No,
But
that's true. All right.
I don't know. This is looking pretty good for Rufus all of a sudden. The game is definitely definitely favorable for Protoss. Like you said, 1 mining base versus a couple mining bases for Protoss. Protoss really has map control over the bottom bases. Like, he could take a 5th and not have to worry too much about defending it.
Right. Yeah, it seems like Terran just kind of bungled his push a little bit. He did really well in the earlier stages of the game, but like you guys were kind of saying, even though he's been defensive matrixing stuff really well, his army can't be all together, or at least it couldn't have been the first time he pushed, because he seemed to have a lot more units than he actually had in the push, and Rufus was able to fight part of the army and take a really good engagement. Which is always really nice for Protoss, especially when you're behind economically like he was.
Yeah, some really nice engages from our boy Rufus. And all of a sudden, Marshiell doubled up in supply yet again. Oh my god, oh my god!
What?
Did you see how many dead Dragoons there were?
From the mine?
Yeah.
That was like a minute ago?
Yeah.
Oh. Wow, you really are behind the times, aren't you? Or are you just watching the Twitch stream?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
Alright, we do have another stasis on these tanks. Yeah, Rufus back up to his 4 Arbiter count. Is that about the amount that you want in this matchup? Like, just continually having 4 Arbiters available?
To be honest, in my opinion, just keep pumping out Arbiters. Our Stargates should be like gateways. If you have the money, just keep producing from them.
Right.
For me, I always lose my Arbiters because I fly into Goliaths. So I can't really say. I don't have problems with getting too many Arbiters. But 4 seems like a pretty good number.
Alright, looks like this 4th base from Terran is going to be denied by Rufus. Yeah, looking really strong, especially with his engagements and army control, in my opinion.
I'm feeling the dub for Rufus. And I'm so upset that he won this game, like, with 1 base bulldog into no damage. I can't believe it. Rufus, you madman.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he just really knows how to make his units efficient, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, look at the mind drag to those zealots.
After this, the economy tab has got to be wild.
Right. I mean, we do see he's like both of them actually moving fairly quickly as far as like new players go. They seem to be like 160, 180 APM. Not that that really matters a lot, but it does mean that they're at least clicking around. And this is 26, almost, yeah, like 26, 27 minutes into a game. So I feel like a lot of tier 2, low tier 1 players definitely drop down to like 120 at this point in the game.
Yeah, totally. The more uncomfortable you are, like, the slower, it's easier to slow down. Speaking from experience.
Alright, this vulture gonna run right into some cannons. Unfortunately not catching the transferring probes. But it looks like Rufus is continually trying to break over this bridge. I don't know that it's really the best decision. I feel like, could he like go around and then hit the natural? Yeah, instead of having his units here?
maybe recall somewhere as well.
Right.
Once you get to this point,
Oh, he's got a turret ring. Don't forget the turret ring.
Terran has 3-2. Oh, turret rings. OP. But the thing is, Arbiters are so muscular that it's like, it doesn't even matter.
I don't think I've ever heard Arbiters described as muscular before, but I'm into it.
Look at how much health they have. They have 150 shields, 200 health. You can have three turrets hitting them, and they'll still get a recall off. It's absurd.
Man, he really wants over this bridge. Like, so badly. Look at how badly he wants over this bridge.
I'm not a big fan of this. But who am I to say?
I mean, Terran's mining from one base.
Yeah. I mean, the longer the game goes on, the better this is going to get for... the better this is going to get for Protoss. It's almost like PvZ in a way, where early game Protoss is really good. There's a strong mid-game point where Terran has a really big power spike. But then after that, once the game gets really late, then it gets really strong for Protoss again.
At least. Do you think we should ever change the focal point of our casting from comparing everything that we see to some version of PvZ?
No, never.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm
dumb. Never mind. Forget I mentioned it.
People tune in is to hear our apt comparisons to a completely different matchup.
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty good. Not gonna lie. That's basically the only thing we have to add on anything, so, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't know what to say? Just talk about PvZ.
Alright. Tim showing us that Rufus does have 6 Arbiters now. Does manage to stasis the vessel. And some vultures. Yeah. Okay, 3 stasis. Pretty good. Not sure if he's going to get across the bridge, though. But he is managing to continually deny Terran's fourth base. Which is basically like, Marshiell is really, really broke. So, the continual denial of the fourth base, I feel like is... Oh, sick mind drag. Is actually really significant at this point in the game. And he should actually... I'm not sure how many units he has on the other side of the bridge, but I feel like he should be pretty close to being able to push across now that he's taking out all those mines and stasis half his units. Yeah, just kind of 2 tanks in the back.
Yeah,
but those tanks also on stasis. It's just what? Sorry. You go ahead.
No, it just doesn't feel like he's got enough to secure this fourth base. And without the fourth base, yeah, Marshiell does GG out. Wow. Rufus, with the power of Pusagi, winning the game after going 1 base robo with no damage. That's crazy. All right. We are going to go on a quick break. We'll be back in about 8 minutes. I hope you guys will stick around for the remainder of this series. We've got a 2-1 for Rufus so far.
All right, guys, don't go away.
So that he doesn't have to do too much more micro with the Corsairs.
Looks like it will to me. He's got enough time to get both stairs to the cannons and the natural, and that cannon will finish by the time the next stair is done.
And
right,
we're seeing
nice
Action just go for a nice 730. We should see him push out any moment here. We do have Bojack building Hydras that should be enough to hold just fine.
Nice build here by Ashen. Looks like he's hitting it pretty well, actually. Both players are hitting their builds pretty well right now, I think.
Agreed. The only thing I would like to see from Ashen, from a Protoss perspective, is you can feel free to push out at like 710, and then your upgrades finish like right as you get to the Zerg base. But such a small thing doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, I think that Bojack actually has enough to drive this back anyways, so hopefully Ashen's got Storm on the way and he'll be able to hold the 5-hatch Hydra counter. The one thing by Bojack that I don't really like is the Sin City at his third base. It just doesn't look like a very nice wall to me. You can easily get around that, just walk up the ramp and go around the right-hand side and get into the drone line.
Right, yeah.
Alright, gonna just go ahead and pick off a couple links and go home. Lots of Hydras out at both bases, so we're going to, hope he goes home with those. Oh, he's just gonna fight. Okay, drive some of the Hydras back a little bit. Okay, now I hope he goes home. Go home.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely not worth it. It buys him a little bit of time just in case he didn't have Storm up. It does look like he's going to go for an 8-gate here.
Alright, I guess we're going to see from... That's good. I hope he has Storm. He needs to throw down a couple more cannons, actually, because it's definitely a lot of Hydras from Bojack. I'm not sure, like, you can actually go for a 5-hatch Hydra bust out of this build, so I guess we're going to see if Bojack decides to do that, or if he decides to drone behind this.
Looks like he is going to drone.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we'll see later on in the game. Or later on in the series, I mean.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's definitely a good idea to bring it out at some point. It definitely feels like both players are just kind of feeling the map out, or feeling the player out. I don't think they've played each other for a long time. And this map, especially for Zerg, is really a great map to play a macro game on, because it is a 3-player map. So, like Bojack was saying in the interview, guys, if you don't know a lot about PvZ, for Zerg, you generally feel more comfortable if you're up a couple bases on Protoss. So basically, in the early game, Zerg has a little bit of a little bit more initiative than Protoss in the matchup, because they can do things like Hydra Bust or Ling All In while Protoss is in the dark. Then, for the 2-0 push that Protoss can do, the favor kind of shifts a little bit back onto them, because 2-0 Protoss, that push is definitely very difficult to stop. You have to macro really well as Zerg and build a lot of drones. But then, if you manage to actually split the map in half... Alright, Ashen really wanting one of these overlords here.
This is just really nice. This is just really nice from Protoss. Even if you don't wind up getting an overlord, you tax your opponent's APM, and this matchup is really such a multitasking battle that if you feel like you have an advantage in APM, spend every second trying to annoy the Zerg and try and get him to move units around and things like that.
Alright, looks like Ashen's going to go ahead and try and break out of this contain before it kind of started.
Nice Storm on 2 lurkers.
Yeah, and they were pretty split up as well, and he still managed to get them on both lurkers. I think his observers are not quite out yet, but just kind of actually disintegrating this army with Storm. Looks like Ashen getting ready for a very strong 2-0 push. I think hopefully he's macroing well behind it. He does have about 120 to 73 supply blocked Zerg behind this. And as Relentless is showing us, oh, Zerg's actually trying to go into Hive behind this. I actually think this was a mistake. Generally, if Protoss is on 2 base, you want to wait till they take their third until you start to tech up, because if Ashen actually pushes right now, which I'm not sure if he's going to do, because he might not sense it, but it's actually, you're putting so many resources into trying to tech up that Ashen can actually just go kill him right now, because he doesn't have enough lurkers. You actually need to put all of your gas and all of your minerals into Hydra Lurker to hold a well-macroed 2-0 push from 2-base Protoss.
Yeah, and it's you can see it in the supplies. I mean, he's almost 50 supply up, Ashen is. Bojack just now getting his 4th down. He's trying really hard to go to Hives. I'm surprised that Ashen isn't pushing right now. He's got a decent-sized army. He's got his 2-0 upgrades, I believe. He is doing some decent work with these Corsairs. He's keeping them alive very well, and he's doing some damage where he can.
Yeah, I guess the thing that really surprises me is that he can see that Bojack has not enough units to hold his push, like not enough lurkers. and yet he's still kind of holding back. So, being offensive with lurkers is really difficult.
Yeah,
actually, I think he's gonna bleed some units for free here. Oh, 6 storm! Really nice storm there from Ashen. Oh, now all the lurkers are all clumped up. Man, everything kind of going wrong here for Bojack. Storm's hitting really well. And we just saw Zerg plummet to 72 supply to a 140 supply Protoss. This 2-0 push looking really strong from Ashen.
And Ashen, just go kill him, man. Go kill him. I will unapologetically root for the Protoss here.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the underdog story too a little bit, and you know, he is on IRK, and he is on my CPL team, so I can't pretend that I'm not rooting for Protoss a little bit. But
the thing with these tier 2 matchups, especially like this is our first one, but I'm sure we'll have some in the future. They have less experience with show matches, so I'm sure Ashen would be he would hate to have to push and then get this held, and then have to go into game 2 being like, oh, this guy doesn't know how to 2-0 push or whatever, you know. So he's a little bit nervous about it, but he just has enough stuff to win it right now.
Yeah, really strong push from Ashen. Really nice scouting with the Corsairs throughout the entire game, I think. I mean, Zerg's pretty dead at this point. Yeah, GG as well. I really noticed, like, he's...
Yeah, well, see, the thing is the reason he ran in was because the mutas are about to pop. So the mutas are going to chase down the vultures anyway, so he's going to lose them anyhow.
Right, so you might as well.
So you just kind of like, yeah. You just run in and see if you can get a couple drones before the mutas hatch. So I think you got 3 drones there, and that was a pretty nice trade. Zerg, of course, fairly low eco when you go 2H muta. So, I mean, he's probably just going to drone behind this, go ahead and take his 3rd gas. But in general, I think that's good for Terran. We did have, like, Father on here. Kind of, he talked about that when we did the analysis of the Keen Father show match. I don't know if you remember that.
Right, yeah. I remember that.
We've done a lot of casts, guys. Lisa's really sick of me now.
Honestly, yes. Very. No. Yeah, these mutas not going to do too much, but like I was saying about Crazy, to just go back to that, very comfortable in a macro game. He struggles a little bit against aggression because I think he just doesn't know exactly what the perfect response is sometimes. And for Terran, I mean, tell me if you agree with me or not here, Strom, but I feel like Terran is the most easily cheesable race. They just seem very fragile in the beginning.
I mean, there's definitely... Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think they are fragile. I mean, I feel like Protoss is pretty easy to cheese as well, but I'm a Zerg player, so... Yeah. Zerg has a lot of aggressive options just because of the way the macro mechanic works. Because you can choose to build a lot of units all at once and sacrifice your workers to do that. You can get a lot of units quickly, and that gives you a lot of options to be really aggressive, essentially.
Right. So Terran, at least in my opinion, as far as PvT, like as far as when you're playing against Protoss, which is the right side play, you definitely get the better end of things as the Protoss player in the cheese battle. But anyway, it's not too important. Basically, the concept is new to the game, so he still struggles with some but as far as his mechanics and everything, super solid, super good play.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We did have him on here before, and I think he went 4-5 against King Pie. And he just I don't know, he just macros really well. He just has really good macro. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen his TVZ really much before, but I'm definitely excited to see that. I think it's an interesting matchup as far as like with Sheep in general, because...
And we're back, folks. We got a 2-1 so far. Pretty competitive series between Rufus and Marshiell. We've got an exciting game 4 coming up for you on In the Way of an Eddy, a big macro map.
I'm hoping, guys.
Of course, knowing how the Apocalypse series has gone, there's 100% chance it's going to be a cheese.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be 9-9 gate, guys. Anyways, so we do have our Protoss player currently up 2-1 in this series. Rufus in the upper right-hand corner of Eddy. And our Terran player, Marshiell, looking to make a comeback in this second round of 3 games. Marshiell.
Here's the game plan. Here's what you do. You 2-fac twice in a row, and then right when he thinks he's onto you and goes 2-gate, you just go siege expand. Am I right?
Man,
The mind games.
we should have you playing the series, not casting them. What can I say?
What can I say? It's just... I'm just too good.
Yeah. Actually, we should have you coaching the players for the series.
Models? Who's that guy? It's all about least.
Alright, well, I gotta say, I'm sad because this is our last Apocalypse game on Eddy. And it's not really anywhere else. And I just have a fondness for this map that a lot of you have picked up on. It is the big macro map. It is the blue map. It's also a foreign-made map. I don't know, I just like it, guys. I just
pretty
enjoy
much the
it.
perfect map, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's just nice. It's 4-player, big. It's good. I like it. Reverse ramps don't really matter to me that much, so.
Imagine playing a race where you can afford to not care about reverse ramps, Kappa. No, I don't know. I like it for everything except PvP, because reverse ramp PvP is just the worst.
Right, I guess that makes sense. I mean, I know even less about PvP than I do about PvT, so I have literally zero opinion on that, but I can see it. I feel your pain metaphorically or something.
The thing with PvP on reverse ramp maps is there's no way to, like, you have to stay on one base for so long in PvP that if they just go 3-gate goon, then you can never get out. If you go for a standard, like, if you go for like a standard 1-gate robo expand. So it's like,
Right.
you just get caught in rock, paper, scissors. It's like, all right, you go observers to beat DTs, DTs to beat 3-gate, you beat 3-gate, or you get 3-gate to beat observers. It's pretty booty. But yeah, otherwise, I'm getting way off on a tangent here.
That's okay. I mean, we're all about redundance, right? That's
We're
our new
all
motto.
about redundancies here.
We're all about redundance, guys. That's just the way it is. Alright, looks like we do have a factory expand probably coming out of Marshiell. And it looked like 1-gate tech with no zealots from Rufus. So, very standard opening so far from our 2 players. And cross positions on Eddy. So, you know, even more inclined to go macro heavy, right?
Yeah. Even more inclined.
I'm just remembering the game we had Sheep versus Crazy on this map where Crazy was going mech and Sheep just won with the Lingolin, and I was like, oh, alright.
It happens sometimes.
He knew, guys.
He just couldn't let you have a macro game on Eddy. It's just not allowed.
Yeah, he knew, guys. Alright. How are you, Least? I know your schedule has been getting a little bit busier lately.
Yeah, I'm a little bit tired, but living the dream. I'm excited for payday to come and get that sweet, sweet direct deposit.
How's the new job working out? You enjoying it so far?
Yeah, everyone's super nice. I mean, that's the biggest thing to me are the coworkers worth being around?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's fair.
wait, is he gonna... Okay, never mind. Okay, so this is pretty annoying. Marshiell... I'll go in siege first, so it's not going to be a huge deal. Just being defensive on a reverse ramp map. Least is working as a trash man. I hate you, Fox, man.
You can't hate
Right.
Postbat. You already said he was your favorite person. Man,
I mean,
make up your mind.
It's Schrodinger's person. Simultaneously, my least and most favorite person on the planet.
I thought I filled that role for you.
Everyone in the entire StarCraft community fills that role for me. How's that?
Wow. Is that just the relationship you have with the game?
Yeah, pretty much.
Have you actually been playing at all? Or are you caught up on other things currently?
Not really currently. I've not only been working at my new job, but I've been finishing up, helping out transitioning for my old job. And there was a big project coming up there. So I was like, no time for StarCraft.
I'm sure we'll get you back eventually, though.
Oh yeah, I can't quit this game. It's
It's tried too many times, really.
Okay, so we do see a 5-fact on this, or a 4-fact. Yeah, a 4-fact on this map. It is cross positions, like we said, so it's going to be a little bit less powerful, but almost as if Marshiell knows. Not only got a couple Dragoon kills early on in the game, but my boy Rufus is trying to get away with two gateways into taking a third, which is not very common. You usually see at least 3 gateways, and then if you see a timing push coming, you just pump out gateways behind that, and even then you barely hold.
Right, so even, is this push fast enough to punish that?
I believe so. Because the push came...
faster than 5-fact.
Yeah, 4-fact is the fastest timing push you can hit. And you can see Marshiell delayed the academy until after all the 4 factories are already gone down. So this 4-fact is going to be extremely fast.
Right, and as you said, we do see Rufus throwing down some gateways as soon as he scouted that with the observer in the base. Oh, but nice vultures. There's absolutely nothing to block these probes.
This vulture harass. Too strong.
Yeah, I'm just watching the worker number plummet on the... That's, I guess, the one thing that's nice about casting for replays. Is that we have that worker count. But yeah, just watch it plummet. I mean, Rufus ahead by more than 10 workers now. Marshiell ahead by more than 10 workers.
It just is very hard. You've already got to cut workers when you see a timing attack coming. So timing attacks combined with a tiny bit of vulture harass can be extremely powerful. Also, Strom, in the chat, we've got someone wondering how you got your name.
Oh.
If you would like.
This is a very popular question. Stromkarlen is it's actually the name of a mythological creature in Scandinavian folklore. So I'm a violinist and I study violin performance at university, and Stromkarlen is a water spirit in mythology that plays the violin. So that's where that name came from. I found the word, like the creature, back when I was like maybe 17. I kind of like held on to it as the username for a while, and then brought it back out in when I joined Discord last year, and did a paper on the mythological creature. We do have this 5 or 4-fact push coming through. That shuttle actually taking a lot of damage from the turret.
Yeah, the shuttle taking a lot of damage, but crucially also dealing a lot of damage to tanks. And you can see these tanks kind of out by their lonesome, not any vultures to buffer for them, so they're going to get cleaned up rather easily.
All right, looks like Rufus did manage to clean up this push. He is quite behind on workers, but I'm not sure how Terran does a follow-up to this kind of push. Oh, unfortunate mine.
I'm not super sure either, because it's really difficult. The whole thing with the timing attack, other than your upgrades being much later than a typical 2-1, is that if you fail the timing attack, you have no army, so you can't take a third. And then it's just like, well, what do I do from here? 2-base Terran can only do so much.
Right. He did get a lot of probes with those vultures early on, so I feel like that might be the saving grace of his position in this game. He is actually ahead on supply still, but he does have like a huge worker advantage at the moment. I feel like that's an annoying spot to have tanks.
Yeah, tanks OP. Tanks OP. Will this Nexus go down? It's so close. It
I think
feels
it's
like
going to.
yeah. It's
At the point where you take out all the probes and take out their third base, is that now worth it for Terran to have done this push?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It really kind of.
Oh, clutch vulture.
This is so clutch. Oh my gosh. The hidden base attempt instantly shut down.
And looks like Terran going to take a third behind this. Building on the low ground, or actually, I guess on site would actually be the term to use for that.
Right, yeah. So, building it on site. Rufus so good with these shuttle drops. Like, absolutely getting as much value as he possibly can out of each individual unit. He's not... I don't know, that one didn't go as well as other ones in the past have.
He has been really mobile about using shuttles in all his engages, though.
He really has. And it makes it tough. Terran never wants to siege up when a shuttle's right on top of him, because you just know as soon as you siege, zealots are dropping out and they're going to start cleaning up your tanks right away.
All right, we do have Marshiell's supply lead getting bigger and bigger. And he's got quite the worker advantage as well. So I feel like this game is going pretty well in his direction, especially seeing how he's now taking a third base. But it seems like he has a really tank-heavy army, and I'm kind of worried about the low amount of vultures, because we keep having drops like that where tank fire is blowing up all of his tanks.
Yeah, I still really think Marshiell is in a really strong position. But it's definitely going to be, with these drops are just making it really hard to finish the game out.
Right. But Protoss obviously stuck inside this choke. Definitely not an ideal place to fight. And it was a really nice, he did a really good job of mining it. Oh, but man, those mine guys were insane.
So sick.
All right, looks like Rufus is going to manage to break the contain. With some nice army management again. By Rufus. Just doing a good job overall with army maintenance. But I think Marshiell did manage to take out the upper left base that he tried to get down. Yeah, so that's definitely helpful. So Protoss did lose the third, and Terran has a third. And he's actually not spending his Oh no, he is actually spending his money. It's Rufus that's not spending his gas. But I guess that's probably because he wasn't able to mine minerals from the third base.
Yeah, and it's hard to tech up. Part of the response to timing push is you delay your tech, so it becomes harder to spend your gas because you don't have arbiter tech as quickly.
Right. I guess the one thing that I have noticed about Marshiell, though, is that even when he's floating money, he seems to be pretty even on his gas and his minerals. So I feel like he's figured out how to macro fairly decently as far as like evening out what he's making on both accounts, which seems strong. All right, we're gonna go ahead and sneak a couple vultures in the main, try and get some more probes, and get a nice scout off here. Protoss, of course, is confined to these 3 bases for the moment. And he is also very behind on workers still. Marshiell at 50, which is probably a little bit low for being on 3 bases, but he still has a worker advantage in this situation.
Yeah, generally you want to be, I believe, at 55, 60 on 3 bases. 20 workers per base is a pretty good general rule.
Yeah, see, this is just absolute madness to a Zerg player who, when you have 50 drones, you have 4 bases and you're very happy.
Yeah, I was just about to say, for all non-Zerg races, 20 workers per base is a pretty good general rule. But
imagine having
Zerg
20 drones per base. That would be absolutely insane. Sorry, I'll stop daydreaming.
I'll stop daydreaming. In a perfect world, there would be 20 drones per base.
Alright, Rufus just kind of barely holding off these attacks with the rallies that are coming out. I guess we'll have to see if Marshiell ever manages to finally push down into his natural.
It almost doesn't matter, though, because Rufus is getting starved out regardless.
Right. I mean, it's like all his gateways are coming out of the same place. So even though he's very good at making good engagements, being contained like this makes everything very difficult. Man, that Goliath almost got that shuttle. Alright, gets it now.
Yeah, these shuttle drops have been really effective, but it's just not nearly been enough. The vulture harass early on was extremely effective, and then the timing push managing to take out the third was kind of the killing blow. Yeah,
I mean, it definitely was a very strong push. All right, Rufus goes ahead and taps out. All right, and I guess we have our series tied up 2-2 now. That was an acceptable game for Eddie, by the way. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, macro enough. Made it to 17 minutes.
Yeah, that's plenty for me. All right, our next map is going to be Neo Bloody Ridge, which, by the way, guys, is different than both Crossing Field and Heartbreak Ridge, which are both names that I've used to announce this map in the past. Elise, why don't you go ahead and announce the players?
In the top right corner, we've got our Terran player, Marshiell. And in the bottom left corner, we've got our Protoss player. It's Rufus. Alright. So, Neo Bloody Ridge. PVT.
Yeah, what do you think? You go ahead and give me the overview here, because I obviously don't play either side of this matchup.
You know, I like that the main has a big area for gateways for Protoss. I like that there's 4 bases that you can take relatively easily. Obviously, it's a 2-player map, so it's pretty easily splittable. But I think that you can kind of counteract that. I don't know what I'm saying, man. I don't know what I'm saying. It's good. It's fine. It's fine.
Pretty
But
even overall?
I'd say it's pretty even overall. The big thing that's helpful as a Protoss player on 2-player maps like these is when you have these ridges in the middle of the map, it really helps to delay the Terran push because it's so much harder to push up high ground. And when Terran has to do that over and over and over again to just get to your base, it makes the push much more difficult.
Right. I just want to take a minute to ask Tim to hide the replay progress bar.
Oh yeah, thanks Tim. Lol.
All right, and we can go ahead and get back to Myth. I actually wasn't paying attention to it in previous games. I think he was hiding it. Was he hiding it?
He hit it every other game, yeah.
Okay.
Implying.
All right. Yeah, it seems like the most interesting feature of this map for me is always the like double high ground thing across the middle. That seems like it'd be a great place to just set tanks up on and go split map, but I don't know anything about this matchup really, so. Man, you weren't kidding when you said you were tired, were you?
I was not. I'm pathetic. I don't know what it is, man. I just get real tired real fast.
Yeah, not sleeping. Sleeping's important.
Sleeping is important.
Yeah.
Foxbat saying just play TVP to learn about the matchup.
No.
To you.
I already said I already said I can't handle having to learn where to put my buildings. It's too much work.
But would it be worth it if you could build workers and army at the same time?
I don't know. I might be too dumb to do that. I'm pretty slow. Seems hard.
I'm pretty slow. I can only really afford to build one unit per...
Yeah. I only have enough APM to build one unit or like one thing at a time. I can't do both at once. That's asking too much.
That explains why your ZVP is so good. All you got to do is make hydros. Boom!
Exactly.
Boom! Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. A moving some poor Protoss like 15 minutes into the game with just hydros. Remember one.
Easy.
All right, we have a Dragoon walking into Terran's main. It always fascinates me when this happens.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what makes this good and what makes this bad. I mean, obviously, the fact that these Marines...
He's got a lot of SCVs pulled right now. But I guess because SCVs beat Dragoons.
Yeah, SCV's strong unit.
One of the unfortunate truths of anything against Terran is that SCVs are just really strong. Looks like we have a Citadel being thrown down. Does this mean this is a fast DT build?
Very well could be. It very well could be. I kind of hope we see a DT drop. I like that a lot more personally than just going for DTs trying to walk them in. Because obviously, if you go for just walking in the DTs, then it's okay, we're just going to see them walk them in. But
what makes drop? What do you like about drop, though?
The thing with drop is obviously you avoid the mines as you get into their base. And the other nice thing is, if you avoid their turrets, the only way they can see you is scan, right?
Right.
So then they scan you, and then get this, hear me out. You pick up your DTs and go away. It's imba. It's actually so good. I don't understand how anyone deals with DT drop, to be honest. I don't do it more because I'm trying to learn how to like play macro games. But literally just micro well enough that you don't fly into turrets, and you're pretty much winning the game.
Man, I should... Yeah, I don't know. It seems cool. I should learn the tell for the build order so that I can point it out instead of just noticing when they drop DTs in the main. But it looks like we did have him go mines first, which means that depending on how well he mines his entrance, it should be more difficult to get a DT in, correct?
Yeah. Something that's possible is to use your units that you've already made, like Dragoons and Zealots to walk in first, and then they soak up all the mine shots. But it looks like Rufus is not going to do that. He's just going to make a round of DTs, hope that one gets through the mines, and then see what kind of damage it can get done.
Right. Terran actually has a no DT defense right now besides the mines, though. So if the mines do not connect, I feel like he could be in trouble.
Oh my gosh. All
Right, and that
This
DT
is
is
so
going to get
good.
in as well if he goes in that same area. One DT going right into the main, and the other one's probably going to head to the natural. Just able to take out some SCVs here. All right, SCV's being pulled, but of course, a difficult situation for Terran because he just doesn't have any detection at the moment, and he's trying to take a third base, but really can't mine from anywhere right now. Do you just hope to get turrets up?
I think DTs are just super good.
Oh my goodness. I thought he was going to drag that mine into those SCVs for a second.
I did too. I wanted that so bad.
I would have, I don't know. Just like
That's the
mines
most
blowing up
satisfying
workers,
thing.
like big clouds of workers, or like storm or reaver shots. I don't know. There's just something about it.
Mines blowing up SCVs in particular is gratifying for me because it's like Reaver shots are just so unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Again,
It's just the fact that they stack, right? There's like, I feel like it never happens. I never see like mines blow up a whole ton of drones, really. There's like storm drop, which is like really destroys drones. And vultures destroy drones, but not in that like all the workers are stacked and then instantaneously all explode kind of way, you know?
right.
That
Well-
army, by the way, is burning down. So if he doesn't notice that, he will be in trouble. Oh, he's already repairing it. Never mind.
Easy. Terran's on top of the repair. Not even stressing about it. Come on.
All right. So now that the situation has calmed down, that did a ton of damage, right?
You know, that did a lot of damage, but it's also 3 bases for Terran to 2 bases for Protoss. So you kind of have to do a lot of damage, don't you?
Right. But is that? I mean, I don't know. Is that enough damage? Is that? Are we
Oh,
even?
that's
Right
definitely
off the head?
enough. I haven't been playing that much, but Protoss is definitely at least a little bit ahead.
Okay.
But I just wanted to say that like Terran's not out of it.
Oh no. For
Terran's
sure.
got a way back into the game.
Right. He did take his. I think he took his third off of like 2 factories. He hasn't added any more yet. But that third seems like it's fairly defensible from a Terran standpoint, just because it's got the high ground, it's only got 1 ramp. So I'm not really sure how Protoss is supposed to deny that. Which is kind of why I was feeling like a split map scenario on this map. But I guess we'll see how late the game goes. We do have that first Arbiter on the way. DT Tech. DT Tech goes quite easily into Arbiter, right? Whereas Reaper goes pretty easily into Corsair. Or, I mean, Carrier?
Yes. DTs go well into Arbiters because all you got to do is add the Stargate and then the Arbiter Tribunal.
Right.
Reaver goes well into Carrier, but not because the text matchup. It's just because the Reaver provides enough extra defensive cover to help get the carriers. Like
Oh, I
carriers
see.
take so long to build that you need some kind of defensive cover to build them.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Because you can do a lot of damage with the Reaver. You can do like you can soft contain with the Reaver too, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Looks like we were hiding the Arbiter. This looks like it's going to be a really fast recall. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely seems like a really fast recall, and I quite like it, to be honest. With 2-player maps, you generally want to go for more abusive styles, so that way you don't have to worry as much about splitting a map. And that's exactly what we see him going for here. We see him going for the fast DTs into the super fast Arbiters, into a recall, pretty much into recall first, which is really the distinction. Like, you can either get stasis first, and you're just like, okay, I'm just going to try and play him head on, win the fight, and then win the game from there. But it does look like he's going for recall first, so he's going to be a little bit more tricky.
Right. The one thing about this, though, is that there is that mine in top left. So we can't actually see, because we're casting from replays today, whether or not he's looked at this Arbiter. Oh, the mine actually doesn't see it. But I imagine it would have flown by, right? I don't know.
I imagine it would have, but it's definitely tough. Like, you don't expect to be checking out your mines that often for vision, unless he just got a glimpse of the Arbiter on... Okay, we got the recall coming in.
All right, I guess we'll have to see exactly where he recalls. There is actually mines in the Terran main, so I'm not sure how they're going to go off. Looks like he manages to not really recall on top of mines. Going to go ahead and try and get some of these supply depots, I think. Marshiell hasn't moved out yet, so his units aren't, I guess, as out of position as they could have been.
I feel like, all things considered, this is actually going pretty well for Marshiell, but I don't know, the power of recall.
All right, we're just gonna do some
Strong.
harassment there with that Arbiter. Yeah, Marshiell pretty behind on supply already, just from the opener. So I feel like this didn't seem like an amazing recall from Protoss, but it certainly kept Terran at home.
Yeah, and anytime you kill Terran infrastructure, it's just such a hassle. Terran, of course, having to send their workers individually over to build one building at a time. Lol, imagine. So
Right.
if you kill 6 buildings, that's 6 SUVs that can't work.
Right, I guess that's true. Also, we saw there that he did get one of the armories, so I feel like that's a pretty good target when you recall, because that does slow down Terran's upgrades.
Yeah, armories are prime targets. Starports also prime targets. Really, any kind of... The only thing you really don't want to go for is factories, ironically, because you're just never going to kill enough factories
For it to matter.
For it to matter, exactly.
Right.
They'll just rebuild the 2 factories that you killed, and then they're fine.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, we have Rufus very ahead on supply right now. At 162 to 108.
Yeah,
About even on workers now. Marshiell's caught up a little bit, which means that Rufus's army is like really considerably a lot bigger. Because we don't have that worker deficit from Marshiell working into the equation anymore. Yeah.
This seems like a really, really strong spot for Protoss. If he can sneak a... I like recalling expansions a lot. Like, if he could sneak a recall into the 3rd, especially with the hard wall off that's there, that would be really strong. Really nice SimCity. Gotta admire that. Just nice, compact structure.
Oh yeah, that actually is really nice. I feel like a lot of the tier 2 Protoss that I see play don't seem to have really great SimCities, but look at that. That seems very planned to me.
Oh,
I actually I'm feeling the series prep from both players like really strong. I feel like they're all both of them have varied their builds. Oh man, we do have an Arbiter coming in. Good recall. Actually manages to get off even with 4 turrets, although he does lose the Arbiter. And chaos ensues in the 3rd base of Terran.
Was that a gigantic recall, or was that just me?
That
seemed
was a
like
pretty big
so
recall.
many units.
Yeah.
Not even just like, was that a good recall, but it just felt like there was like a billion units in that recall.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of units in that recall. I think he also killed a lot of SCVs. When he first recalled, all I could hear was the sounds of SCVs dying.
Yeah, that's the big thing about recalling on expansions, is you just de facto get like 10 SCVs. Like,
Did
it's
he
just
also
gonna
have a
happen.
command center?
It looks like it. There wasn't enough time for Terran to float away.
Right. Right, so I feel like that's a very good recall overall, and he actually manages to supply block turn as well at 131 out of 18, out of 118. So I don't know. I'm feeling really good about Rufus's choices so far.
You can kind of see what I was talking about earlier, the hard wall off working against Marshiell. Part of the reason I don't like hard walling off in matchups where you're the stronger army, but less mobile army, is if they sneak in behind, then you're only blocking off yourself. It's the same thing. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make another PVZ comparison. But it's the same thing in PVZ. Like if you pylon wall, and you make a hard pylon wall so you can't get any Dragoons through, it's just like, okay, you just made it way easier or you made it way harder for yourself to defend if they run in with 11 Lings and a Defiler.
Right, I see. Okay, we do have Protoss' 4th base under siege as Terry moves across the map. Protoss does have quite the supply lead and also quite the probe lead, so I imagine he will be able to clean up this army. Gotta be careful though, there's a ton of mines here.
Oh,
and he doesn't have an observer present, so they're just shredding these zealots.
Oh, and the Arbiter doesn't get any spells off.
Oh, he got one stasis. Apparently stasis one tank. So actually not quite an ideal engagement from Rufus, all things considering some of the other engagements we've seen him do. But I don't know, he's just so far ahead at this point, it like doesn't even matter. He's still going to be able to take out all these tanks. And he actually slows units to 9 turns third. Alright, Marshiell going to try and take another base. But I feel like as soon as it's scouted, it's kind of game over here.
Yeah, I agree. Rufus with the cheeky opener and a really well executed rest of the game. Probably going to be able to take this one.
All right, we see he's going to kind of secure his advantage here by taking bottom right as well.
Yeah, we see Marshiell almost doubled up in supply yet again. Rufus, I don't know, he's macroing pretty well. He's got 167 supply. He's only floating 1K or so.
Yeah. Well, I guess 3 mining bases. Also 4 mining bases. So I don't know if he has enough gateways or not. I have noticed we haven't seen him get storm at all.
Yeah, it seems like he's a 2 Stargate Arbiter kind of guy. There's definitely like you can get 2 Stargate Arbiters or you get Storm plus 1 Stargate Arbiter. And he's just like, alright, I'm just not going to mess around with Storm. Which is fair. Templars, super slow, super easy to get picked off, so you kind of have to use a shuttle to ferry them around. It just can be kind of a pain sometimes.
Right,
of course,
definitely makes sense. Storm looks really good though.
Storm pretty broke. Kind of the spell that makes Protoss worth playing, to be honest.
I definitely won't disagree with you there. Alright, I think that Marshiell might try one more push. He must be planning on trying one more push as we staying in the game. He does have his base mined heavily against recalls. And it looks like he is trying to set up this third permanently.
Yeah, it just feels like too little too late. Even if you got this third, it's still 5 base to 3, which isn't a great situation. We do see another recall coming in right on top of the production, and there's not that much to help defend against this. Yeah, we do see Marshiell tap out.
Alright, nice game from Rufus. Definitely very well prepared strategy with the DTs and then the recall first.
Yeah, I like it a lot, especially on a 2-player map.
Yeah, I mean, what if we
Gotta
see
take
him
some
do?
chances.
Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say so far we've seen him do like 2 base arbiter over like heavy zealot. Oh, sorry, we have Rufus in the bottom left hand corner of Escalade and Marshiell in the bottom right. Rufus currently with a 3-2 lead. I was just saying, like, we've seen him do like 3 zealots into 1 gate tech. We've seen him just go for a regular 23 Nexus, and I mean, he did lose to 2 Fact. And then he also did a Bulldog off of 10-15 gate, and then he also did a DT rush into really fast recall. So I feel like we're seeing a lot of variety from him, especially for somebody who just started playing Brood War in January.
Yeah, he's really doing a great job mixing it up. I like it a lot out of Rufus.
Yeah, I mean, Marshiell as well. Like, we've seen a 2 Fact, we've seen a 4 Fact. I think we saw a 3 base 2-1, right? And I think that was what the game was going to be as well, although the third was a little bit greedier on Bloody Ridge because he took it before he threw down the third factory.
What is going on? Forward gateway from Rufus, it looks like. So, gonna be some more zealot pressure early on. Really put Marshiell to the test on early game defensive capabilities. Like I've talked about, Marines versus Zealots. Zealots just really strong. So it does take some good micro and some good Sim City to successfully hold this early aggression without taking too much damage.
Yeah, and I mean, just as we were talking about different strategies from Rufus, we see him pull out yet another new strategy.
Yeah, pretty
just to point out. Yeah, he's definitely prepared for this series. So yeah, kudos to him.
And there's a lot of aggressive stuff. Like he did the 2 gate, he's done this forward gate. You can tell Models has been coaching him. Models likes to mix up some aggressive stuff as well.
All right, looks like we have nothing too weird from the Terran perspective as of yet. I think he just scouted the forward gateway. We have an SCV coming into the main of Protoss. So he will be able to go ahead and keep building Marines to deflect the early Zealot pressure. And he's going to go ahead and start his factory. Alright, so this is just basically dependent on micro, correct?
Yeah, this is just how well, and this is actually really good from Marshiell, building this little hidey hole, where if you just have one SCV and one barracks, you have to continually micro the Marines in and out, or up and down, to avoid the Zealot, because the Zealot's just going to keep going around the barracks. But if you have this hidey hole, there's no way the Zealots can get in from any direction. If you actually get in the hidey hole, of course.
Ooh, a little bit of miss micro here from Marshiell, yeah. Oh man, losing 3 Marines. But he does have that nice Sim City, so he is able to keep the Marine behind the wall.
And we do have a Vulture coming out. Once the Vulture gets out, it should be pretty much the rush can be held. We'll see how many SCVs he's able to take down in the meantime.
All right, 2 SCVs go down. Okay, nice little SCV drill. Okay, 3 SCVs go down. 4 SCVs. Okay, I think that was 5 SCVs total and 3 Marines that got killed in that rush. So that feels like a pretty good exchange for Protoss. He's getting his Nexus now.
Yeah, that's what's really strong about this forward gate. This early Zealot pressure is you can just expand behind it. You're not super committed or anything like that. Sometimes if it doesn't go well, you'll have to add a second gate, especially with this forward gate variation. But it's not like all in, quote unquote, per se. I'm not going to get into the all in. Two facts, and this is definitely a response to the forward gateway. When you are so delayed by that, a lot of Terrans will like to just respond by being like, all right, I'm just going to go kill you. If you try
I feel like that's like getting your hatchery pylon blocked and then hydro busting your opponent. Just for another PvZ reference.
It kind of is. It kind of is. It's the thing with this is, you know, your opponent just sacrificed a bunch of workers or a bunch of army for economy, right? Like they sacrificed a bunch of zealots so they could get some SCVs.
Right.
So 2-fact is particularly strong. Assuming they expand and assuming they didn't go second gate before expansion, which
right, and he actually went Nexus instead of second gate, I think.
Yes. So we'll see how 2-gate goes against this, or 2-fact.
Right. He's building a third gateway now. He does have his robo done. But I think he is going to be going Observer first, which is probably not going to help him too much against 2-fact, correct?
Normally I would say yes, but it looks like Marshiell's just going for as many vultures as he can pump out, which is super interesting. Like, literally no tanks, just going speed vultures, try to run in, do some damage, I suppose.
All right, take in mind.
I would have liked it better if he had gone for some tanks, but...
Oh man, those mines getting stuck up on that vulture. Alright, and now the observer's out, so the mines are actually not doing anything. Marshiell floating a lot of money behind this. I feel like this is a really bad position for Terran. I didn't like this 2-fact at all. I feel like he needs tanks with this, like you said. And then he lifted his second factory and moved it away from the add-on. Alright, GG is called. Alright, bit of a weird game. But Rufus is going to take that game as well. And we have him up at 4-2 now again. So we will go ahead and take another break so I can get some more water.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Don't go away, guys.
We'll be right back with 3 more games. The last 3 games of the Apocalypse Showmatch series with our PVT here today, Rufus up against Marshiell. Don't go away.
So that he doesn't have to do too much more micro with the Corsairs.
Looks like it will to me. He's got enough time to get both stairs to the cannons in the natural, and that cannon will finish by the time the next stair is done.
And
right,
we're seeing
nice
Ashton just go for a nice 730. We should see him push out any moment here. We do have Bojack with building Hydras that should be enough to hold just fine.
Nice build here by Ashen. Looks like he's hitting it pretty well, actually. Both players are hitting their builds pretty well right now, I think.
Agreed. The only thing I would like to see from Ashen, from a Protoss perspective, is you can feel free to push out at like 710, and then your upgrades finish like right as you get to the Zerg base. But such a small thing doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, I think that Bojack actually has enough to drive this back anyways, so hopefully Ashen's got Storm on the way and he'll be able to hold the 5-hatch Hydra counter. The one thing by Bojack that I don't really like is the Sin City at his third base. It just doesn't look like a very nice wall to me. You can easily get around that, just walk up the ramp and go around the right-hand side and get into the drone line.
Right, yeah.
Alright, gonna just go ahead and pick off a couple links and go home. Lots of Hydras out at both bases, so we're going to, hope he goes home with those. Oh, he's just gonna fight. Okay, drive some of the Hydras back a little bit. Okay, now I hope he goes home. Go home.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely not worth it. It buys him a little bit of time just in case he didn't have Storm up. Does look like he's going to go for an 8-gate here.
Alright, I guess we're going to see from... That's good. I hope he has Storm. He needs to throw down a couple more cannons, actually, because it's definitely a lot of Hydras from Bojack. I'm not sure, like, you can actually go for a 5-patch Hydra bust out of this build, so I guess we're going to see if Bojack decides to do that, or if he decides to drone behind this. Does look like he's going to drone. Yeah.
Right, maybe that's something we'll see later on in the game. Or later on in the series, I mean.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's definitely a good idea to bring it out at some point. It definitely feels like both players are just kind of feeling the map out, or feeling the player out. I don't think they've played each other for a long time. And this map, especially for Zerg, is really a great map to play a macro game on, because it is a 3-player map. So, like Bojack was saying in the interview, guys, if you don't know a lot about PvZ, for Zerg, you generally feel more comfortable if you're up a couple bases on Protoss. So basically, in the early game, Zerg has a little bit of a little bit more initiative than Protoss in the matchup, because they can do things like Hydra Bust or Ling All In while Protoss is in the dark. Then, for the 2-0 push that Protoss can do, the favor kind of shifts a little bit back onto them, because 2-0 Protoss, that push is definitely very difficult to stop. You have to macro really well as Zerg and build a lot of drones. But then, if you manage to actually split the map in half... Alright, Ashen really wanting one of these overlords here.
This is just really nice. This is just really nice from Protoss. Even if you don't wind up getting an overlord, you tax your opponent's APM, and this matchup is really such a multitasking battle that if you feel like you have an advantage in APM, spend every second trying to annoy the Zerg and try and get him to move units around and things like that.
Alright, looks like Ashen's going to go ahead and try and break out of this contain before it kind of started.
Nice Storm on 2 lurkers.
Yeah, and they were pretty split up as well, and he still managed to get them on both lurkers. I think his observers are not quite out yet, but just kind of actually disintegrating this army with Storm. Looks like Ashen getting ready for a very strong 2-0 push. I think hopefully he's macroing well behind it. He does have about 120 to 73 supply blocked Zerg behind this. And as Relentless is showing us, oh, Zerg's actually trying to go into Hive behind this. I actually think this was a mistake. Generally, if Protoss is on 2 base, you want to wait till they take their 3rd until you start to tech up, because if Ashen actually pushes right now, which I'm not sure if he's going to do, because he might not sense it, but it's actually, you're putting so many resources into trying to tech up that Ashen can actually just go kill him right now, because he doesn't have enough lurkers. You actually need to put all of your gas and all of your minerals into Hydra Lurker to hold a well-macroed 2-0 push from 2-base Protoss.
Yeah, and it's you can see it in the supplies. I mean, he's almost 50 supply up, Ashen is. Bojack just now getting his 4th down. He's trying really hard to go to hives. I'm surprised that Ashen isn't pushing right now. He's got a decent-sized army. He's got his 2-0 upgrades, I believe. He is doing some decent work with these Corsairs. He's keeping them alive very well, and he's doing some damage where he can.
Yeah, I guess the thing that really surprises me is that he can see that Bojack has not enough units to hold his push, like not enough lurkers, and yet he's still kind of holding back. So, being offensive with lurkers is really difficult.
Yeah,
I actually think he's going to bleed some units for free here. Oh, 6th Storm! Really nice Storm there from Ashen. Oh, now all the lurkers are all clumped up. Man, everything kind of going wrong here for Bojack. Storm's hitting really well. And we just saw Zerg plummet to 72 supply to a 140 supply Protoss. This 2-0 push looking really strong from Ashen.
And Ashen, just go kill him, man. Go kill him. I will unapologetically root for the Protoss here.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the underdog story too a little bit, and you know, he is on IRK, and he is on my CPL team, so I can't pretend that I'm not rooting for Protoss a little bit, but
the thing with these tier 2 matchups, especially like this is our first one, but I'm sure we'll have some in the future. They have less experience with show matches, so I'm sure Ashen would be he would hate to have to push and then get this held, and then have to go into game 2 being like, oh, this guy doesn't know how to 2-0 push or whatever, you know. So he's a little bit nervous about it, but he just has enough stuff to win it right now.
yeah, really strong push from Ashen. Really nice scouting with the Corsairs throughout the entire game, I think. I mean, Zerg's pretty dead at this point. Yeah, GG as well. I really noticed, like, he's...
Yeah, well, see, the thing is the reason he ran in was because the mutas are about to pop. So the mutas are going to chase down the vultures anyway, so he's going to lose them anyhow.
Right, so you might as well.
So you just kind of like, yeah. You just run in and see if you can get a couple drones before the mutas hatch. So I think you got 3 drones there, and that was a pretty nice trade. Zerg, of course, fairly low eco when you go 2H muta. So, I mean, he's probably just going to drone behind this, go ahead and take his 3rd gas. But in general, I think that's good for Terran. We did have, like, Father on here. Kind of, he talked about that when we did the analysis of the Keen Father show match. I don't know if you remember that.
Right, yeah. I remember that.
We've done a lot of casts, guys. Lisa's really sick of me now.
Honestly, yes. Very. No. Yeah, these mutas not going to do too much, but like I was saying about Crazy, to just go back to that, very comfortable in a macro game. He struggles a little bit against aggression because I think he just doesn't know exactly what the perfect response is sometimes. And for Terran, I mean, tell me if you agree with me or not here, Strom, but I feel like Terran is the most easily cheesable race. They just seem very fragile in the beginning.
I mean, there's definitely... Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think they are fragile. I mean, I feel like Protoss is pretty easy to cheese as well, but I'm a Zerg player, so... Yeah. Zerg has a lot of aggressive options just because of the way the macro mechanic works. Because you can choose to build.
And we're back, folks. It's Least with Stromkarlen and our boy Tim. We're casting Rufus versus Marshiell. Rufus currently up 4-2 with Neosilphid coming up.
Very classy. We do have our last 3 Apocalypse show match games coming to you guys. And our first of these 3 games is going to be on Sylphid. Lise, would you like to do the honors?
Yes, please. All right. In the bottom left, we have our black Terran player, Marshiell. And in the bottom right, we have our pale yellow, our brown. Oh, it is brown. Okay. Our brown Terran player. Couldn't see. Marshiell. And our pale yellow Protoss player, Bob Rufus. Everyone's ignoring the Bob.
It's actually BDB. Also, Tim, hide the replay progress bar. All right. Wonderful.
One of these days it'll happen.
It's like once you start helping somebody remember something, they'll just never do it on their own ever again. It's the real moral here. Problem.
So what I hear you saying is this is actually your fault for reminding him in the first place.
Yeah, it's true. Everything's my fault.
Always.
The Zerg losses are my fault.
If you had just gotten to 2K already and then taught all the Zergs how to play better, it would have been fine.
Yeah, I'm really letting us all down here by my own slacking.
You know? Pretty much.
Yeah. It's really unforgivable.
It's a little bit unforgivable.
Yeah.
Some people will find a way to forgive you, but not me.
I don't know how.
All right, here's the game plan.
What is the game plan?
3 all-ins, and then we call it a day. How's that sound, chat?
I think probably what's going to happen is that on this map, Marshiell's going to go 3 base 2-1. That's my prediction. I feel like Sylphin's a good map for it.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a good map to sit back, get a really strong army, get your 3 bases, maybe 4 bases, and then push out.
Yeah, it just seems strong on this map in particular to do that kind of push. Sylphin, of course, becoming the new standard as far as maps go. I like it. I like it because it's a nice shape. I like it because of the color. It's just like it's easy on the eyes, which I like. I think that's one of the reasons that I have a hard time with the beige maps, and especially like orange maps. I don't like very much.
Mm-hmm.
And probably why I like the blue maps so much is because it's just like I find it easier to look at. But this one's like dark brown and green, so it's nice. I like it.
It's like the fighting spirit of 3-player maps.
But much prettier than fighting
Okay.
spirit.
Tim really wants us to point this out. In case you didn't see, there is a second gateway here.
Right.
So
So,
this
it's
is 2
10-15
gate.
again. 10-15, right?
Yeah, 10-15.
Do you call it 2 gate or do you call it 10-15? I'm not hip with the kids.
Basically, there's 2 types to 2 gate, and really, I should what's the word? Tell the difference.
Specify?
But like 10-15 is the more aggressive type, and what you can generally just call regular 2 gate is 10, and then you make a dragoon, you get range and everything, and then you get a second gateway on 21.
Oh, I see. So this was definitely 10-15 though.
This was 10-15 though, yeah.
Right. I wonder if he's going to go into a bulldog again this game. I feel like he kind of bungled the attack last time, and I'd love to see him execute it a little bit better. Because I feel like we've seen in other scenarios that his
Or just run past the bunker. That works
Right.
too.
that also seems good.
This is so funny, dude. He does not care about the bunker one bit.
I feel like this isn't even good. He killed 1 Marine for a Dragoon. I mean, maybe it's better because he has 2 gates worth of Dragoons to back this up, but I don't even know.
No,
Aaron
it's
hasn't
not.
even scouted this yet.
Like, you never, ever... That's why you don't run past bunkers, basically. Is if they micro well, they're just going to kill your Dragoon for free.
Right. Rufus, by the way, is on match point. So I guess maybe that's one of the reasons why I feel he can do this really aggressive build. And not have to worry about it. Because he does have 3 more shots to take a game in the series. At this point. We will, by the way, play all 3 games regardless. You guys haven't been around before. We are 9 games for 9 games, no matter how they are going.
Okay, so Marshiell does get in there to scout. Gonna get that siege. And just get a much faster expansion than Rufus. Rufus most likely going to be double expanding behind this. Okay, Bonneth. He said, I'm going to go pick off 1 STV. Let's get it.
Oh, he actually went mines, not siege first.
I guess he just didn't scout it. You definitely
He
would
scouted
prefer
it last,
siege. Because otherwise, yeah, this Dragoon pressure just becomes too much. But he scouted it super late, so.
Right. He actually isn't pressuring the bunker any longer. Even though I think he could be, right?
Yeah, he definitely could be. I don't know if he just thinks that.
Maybe he thinks the siege mode is out already.
Yeah.
Alright. Picks up another SCV.
Okay. Literally, he could just take out this bunker, can't he? Or am I just
Oh, he definitely needs to pull another SCV, I think, because he only has 4. There's 5 goons. You have to be careful with that tank as well, because we do know that Dragoons can come forwards and snipe that.
Yeah,
and
if he
he like
loses that tank, then he's in deep trouble.
Yeah. We do see, by the way, that he went Robo again. Is that going to be for a shuttle? Think he's bulldogging again, or is he expanding too quickly to do that?
He expanded first, so I don't. It's not technically bulldog. Bulldog's on one
Right.
day.
Okay, that makes sense.
I believe that he's going to get a shuttle anyways, though, because he hasn't double expanded behind.
Right. Okay. Oh, looks like he's just going straight into observers, so nothing weird.
He is going
Nothing
gateway
weird.
man now. Look at this. Look at how many gateways he has. He's got 5 on 2 base.
Right. So he's just gonna try and kill him with gateway units. Is that the deal?
Yeah, that's pretty much the plan.
Oh man, he does lose the bunker.
Does he not have siege mode? Oh,
He
nice
should have
mine
siege
drag.
mode by now. Oh, it's almost done.
Oh, the
Okay,
mines
just
are
pick up
so
one
good though.
All right, loses 2 siege tanks, but 1 mine crashing into 2 dragoons.
Oh my god. Mines are
Wow.
so strong.
Yeah, that was a really I don't know. I thought he was gonna bust him there, but he did also lose 2 tanks. And like you said, Protoss is going heavy on gateway units right now. So any unit deficit that Marshiell is taking, I feel like is really going to be highlighted by the fact that Rufus is really trying to pump out units right now.
Right. It was a super close hold, and now Rufus is going to be pumping out 5 gateways worth of units, whereas Marshiell just going to be pumping out a couple factories worth. So,
Right.
3rd factory going down. Marshiell feeling something's up. Not going to go for the standard 2 factories and do expansion.
All right. Looks like Rufus also taking a 3rd. But is he still technically going gateway man? Is that like the proper timing for the 3rd either way?
Gateway man, you can't really say Gateway man is a build. It's more of a way of life. You gotta.
Someone clip that, please. That's like the nonchalance. That was absolutely brilliant.
But really though, like, Gateway man is just a general idea. It's like, okay, I'm gonna make a lot of gateways and kill them without ever getting to arbiters.
Right.
But
Okay.
there's not a Gateway man build.
Okay. I mean, the way you were saying it, it definitely sounded like there was a gateway man build. You can't leave me on like this. I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's my fault. No, it's definitely
Yeah.
my fault. Definitely my fault.
All right, looks like we do get the observers of Rufus into Marshiell's main, able to scout exactly what he's up to. Looks like it's going to be a 4 factories into a command center. So it looks like he's just playing it super safe at the moment. Which might be good considering the fact that, as you pointed out, Rufus threw down a bunch of gateways before he even got his 3rd base.
Yeah, and he's going up to 7 on 3 base, or 8 on 3 base. Definitely going for a very aggressive play here. If you're just doing the bare bones minimum, you get three gateways and then expand to your 3rd, and then you get 4 gateways. You get a 4th gateway and then expand to your 4th.
Right.
And that's like you want to play economically.
That makes
but
sense.
He's going very much, I want to build a lot of units.
Right. So is this a response, or is this just like is this any good against 2 base 2-1, or was he planning for Terran to do a timing push? Like he thought Terran was going to timing push.
Oh my god. Is this 2 base 2-1? I wasn't even paying attention to the Terran.
Or
But
3
yeah.
3 I think he's expanding. Yeah, sorry, I meant 3 base 2-1. I just said the
Okay.
wrong word.
No,
Yeah.
it puts a lot of pressure on the Terran and makes it pretty hard to survive. But
All right,
you
so
really
you
need
need those
that.
units like
you really
deny
need
the
tech
3rd?
and a lot of expansions to hold. And you're sacrificing both of those to do Gateway Man.
Right. So the point of it would be to like deny the 3rd base of Terran?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I just wasn't like understanding what the point, like what you would do with all these gateway units if you're getting them before turn push. But I guess you can either smash a timing attack or try and deny their third base.
You can try and deny their third, and sometimes you just have enough units where you can just overrun their natural. Like, I know it's not generally a good idea to attack a fortified Terran position, but Gateway Man, like, there is a lot of Protoss compared to not very much Terran in the early phases of this matchup. And that's why Terran is so passive for the beginning, is you just have to be. You can't push out until you're maxed.
Right. That seems like an absolute, but I'm just gonna scroll over that. Anyways, we do have about an even worker count. And we do see, like, as you were saying, it looks like Rufus is actually shooting up in supply right now. He only had a 10 supply lead on Marshiell for quite a while, but now he has kind of, we're looking at more like a 25, almost 30 supply lead on our Terran player. So I guess that's just the result of taking the expansions later and the army sooner. So I guess we'll see if Marshiell can hold his third base. Rufus actually seems to be macroing pretty well this game as well, which I feel like he's been floating a lot of minerals at this stage of the game in the past. So that's nice to see that he got his gateways down and he's able to macro out of them pretty well with nothing happening on the map.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think it's a bad idea for people that don't that have problems spending their money. Just make a couple more gateways than normal, even if it delays the rest of your build. And this, like, even if it delays the rest of your build, it's so much more important just to build units. Like we saw in the legendary Master Ray 75 APM challenge. If you can just build units, you can get to a respectable level, like, without too much of anything else. So definitely never a bad idea to have a couple extra gateways, even if it slows down your tech.
Right. So we did see Rufus managing to secure his fourth base as well. Definitely has a ton of gateway units on the map, but hasn't managed to deny Marshiell's third as of yet. Looks like he might be trying to come in here and do that now. I'm not sure how many tanks he has set up, but these zealots coming in running straight through some mines. Looks like most of the tanks are further back, and the zealot's going to get on top of the first couple of tanks almost immediately.
Hey, you can just see there's so much Protoss, it's crazy. Like, he traded so inefficiently against those mines, but he's still going to get on top of these tanks, at least for a moment. The zealots do get cleaned up, so this push should be able to get cleaned up as well, but does the command center go down?
Looks like it's going to. Yeah, command center does go down, and Protoss is going to run away after that trade. Looks like there just weren't quite enough tanks set up in the actual third base. Most of them were kind of back in front of the natural. So even though Marshiell actually had quite a few units, they weren't really in position, and Protoss was able to come in and actually kill the command center, which means that this gateway man, as you speak, has done at least one of its duties here. It's done some damage, so it hasn't been all for naught.
Yeah, Gateway Man is definitely, you got to do some damage. It's almost like a timing push, except because Protoss just grows faster than Terran, you don't need to hit a specific timing. You just need to have an opening to do heavy damage. Foxbat quoting me in the chat. Gateway Man's a lifestyle.
Yeah. Did he clip it?
I don't know. Foxbat, did he clip it or no?
You should clip it. It was good. I don't even know how to clip stuff, or I'd clip it. Alright. We do see an observer fly into some Goliaths and die. The one thing about observers is that they don't have slow, painful deaths. It's over very quickly. They do not suffer.
That's
do not
very
worry.
true. That's very true. It's like when you take the dog out back. Was that too dark? I apologize. That was
Maybe
kind of
just
messed
as
up.
bad.
This is kind of messed up. Chat, forgive me.
All right. Looks like we just have some defensive mines being laid. Marshiell does manage to pick off another observer, which is pretty nice. I'm suddenly reminded of our ZVP analogy when Zerg just continually picking off the observer and Protoss not being able to run into the field of lurkers.
Yeah.
I mean, we just have to be consistent. I'm not sure where these tanks are going though. They're just going. It's just like the scouting 2 Goliath, 2 tank, 1 Vulture squad.
Yeah, casual. Just go out, get picked off for no reason.
Alright, looks like we were doing a 2-fronted attack from Rufus here. I feel like his units are actually going to get a little bit split up. There's quite a few tanks on this protected ground here, and there's actually also a lot of mines that Marshiell has laid. So Rufus's army just seems to be kind of evaporating here as he tries to attack into Terran. But who knows, maybe he still has enough to break this position once more.
Yeah, there's just so much Protoss. It's trading very inefficiently, but there is a lot of Protoss. It looks like Marshiell is going to be able to hold, which is good. If he didn't hold there, I definitely think the game would pretty much be over. But this does signify the opportunity to go into a long game.
Right, so what's kind of Marshiell's next move here? He's spending his money a lot better than Rufus is. He's a little bit down on workers, and he's still quite down on supply. So this definitely looking like a very strong build from Protoss in general. He's just been able to apply so much pressure that it didn't really matter that his tech was delayed at all.
Right. I think the play is Terran. At least what I think is strong on this map, but I don't know how it's affected by different openings and things like that. Like, I don't really play Gateway Man that often, so I don't know. But try and take this 10 o'clock base, the one right above the natural,
Right.
and then push out after that.
So just do like a maxed army push out?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It might be tough because Rufus is already on 5 bases. It
He's on
seems
4
like
bases.
a tough position.
He hasn't
4
taken
bases?
it yet.
I'm stupid. I thought his army was another base for a second.
Yeah.
Not that.
He's gonna
But
take the mineral only now. Yeah. Oh, looks like he's gonna try and go for a recall with that Arbiter hiding back here. But I think that Marshiell has built an impressive turret ring once more. If we go back to his main, I think he's got a ton of turrets. Can an Arbiter even get through that? I know they're tanky. I guess we're gonna find out.
He could recall immediately on top of the turrets, but I don't think that it would do that much. And there are, like Tim's pointing out, there are mines there.
Right.
So a decent chunk of his army would be taken out.
Alright, so I guess in general, really nice recall defense here from Marshiell. I guess we'll see if he decides to try and do a push on 2 bases, or like you were saying, take that 4th base and then do a push. I think that's what Crazy did on this map when he was playing his TVP against King Pike.
Oh yeah, I
If
think
that 4th base really fast.
that was what the game plan was.
Right, that actually looks like what Marshiell's doing as well. Kind of pushing out already a little bit as well. He does have 3-2 on his tanks. So nice upgrades, and does have a science vessel out as well. Gonna go ahead and pick off another observer. Oh, that was a really nice stasis. That is like 4 tanks in that stasis, right?
That's a bad mistake. And 2 more
Yeah.
tanks. The only thing I would like, if we're being nitpicky, you'd like to see the tanks in the back. But still, you can't complain about 6 tanks not being public play.
Right. Right, and stasis, of course, one of those spells that lasts an inordinate amount of time. So we're gonna see this fight happen, like, basically without, actually, I think that was a misclick on that defensive matrix, though. He actually defensive matrix a Vulture instead of a tank, which doesn't seem quite as good to me.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The tanks,
Alright.
you want to keep those alive. It does look like Rufus is going to be able to break this position. So this really, you clear the tanks again, you possibly clean up this 3rd base. Looking really tough for our boy Marshiell.
All right, we do have the vultures cleaning out these last couple zealots. Not able to end the game here. I think Marshiell is planning on trying to take a 4th base, but he is still kind of. I feel like he's just really low on SCVs. Like, is this just a trend here? We're seeing them be like between 40 and 55 workers each, and I feel like they should be more around the 60 to 70 marker.
Yeah, I know at least for the Protoss, you want to be like 60, 65.
Right.
If you're in the 50s, you're definitely low. And Terran, I believe, like I said, I believe you want to be at 60, maybe 55. But either way, both players pretty low at the moment. We do have some EMPs coming in. Ooh, 60
Oh.
all of the Arbiters.
Right. Yeah, that was awesome.
As a Protoss player, when you just realize all your Arbiters were clumped in one control group and you just lost any potential to do any magic that you could.
Right, and we do see Marshiell taking that 4th base finally. I think he's starting to rebuild some SCVs, which is good because his count is so low in general. But I think he's mined out of his main as well, so 4th base kind of about as late as it is capable of being without it being really difficult for Terran here.
Right.
It looks like he's going to take a 5th as well, but scouted almost immediately by that observer from Protoss.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to be able to hold this 5th base. He could probably hold this 4th, but 2 different locations that he has to defend. I don't know if it's going to work for him.
Right.
Coming just in time though. You can see on the fake high ground, it just mines out so fast. I think it is half the minerals and half the gas. So it does mine out super quickly.
Right. All right, we do see that he is moving his army around. There is one DT here. I'm not sure. Oh, he does have his bringing the science vessels as well in order to provide some detection. Oh, we have the Zealots actually get the kill on that command center, which is really annoying because the army was actually here to stop it. Oh, and Rufus just going to hide that DT. Oh, no. Yeah, he's going to bring it up.
I actually like this a lot, though. He's attacking at the same time that he's moving the DT in. So it kind of masks that your units are under attack notification and makes it think that it was just like, oh, it's because there's a big battle happening. No, it's because your whole worker line's getting demolished.
All right, we do see Marshiell he doesn't always fight with his vultures. Oh man, that DT is 9 kills while this is happening. Marshiell down to 37 workers. Very, very low.
Yeah, super difficult situation for Marshiell.
Definitely needs to clean up this
DT. Good lord. Finally notices and starts pulling SCVs away, but the damage is already done.
All right, we have another DT going.
Oh my gosh.
Man, Rufus showing some really great play right now.
Yeah, the tactics are really off the charts.
Yeah, exactly. Really nice tactics, really nice like multi-pronged attacks. He just seems to make like very decisive moves. He seems to like build his game towards specific maneuvers really well.
Mm-hmm. He really does. And it's got him into a great position. He's got, now I can confidently say, 6 bases versus 4, but only 1 mining base for Terran, where there's like 3 mining bases for Protoss.
Right, and that mining base also is a mineral only. So I imagine the 2 gas geysers in the main and natural are both depleted. So that makes it very difficult for Terran. He is, of course, more than half the supply of Protoss currently.
Yeah, this just seems like a slow bleed out for Terran.
Yeah, definitely a difficult game for Marshiell. It seems like he's doing pretty well with his timing pushes. But the macro games, Rufus is just out positioning him. Like, he's just better at engaging the Terran army than Marshiell seems to be at pushing.
This is what I like to see. That's a lot of gateways. That's what I like to see.
All right. The one thing he hasn't done is add gateways in another main, though.
It's kind of hard on 3-player maps. I definitely like he does control that area now.
Oh,
So-
looks like this is gonna be a recall. I feel like this might just be the end.
Yeah, this could be. A bunch of SEVs are going to die. Most likely the command center is not going to go down. I didn't realize there were only 2 Dragoons with that recall. But denying the 5th for Terran, absolutely huge. Terran's already absolutely broke, like we said.
Protoss with the 6 arbiters. 7 arbiters.
Got all the arbiters in the world.
8 arbiters.
Literally just freeze
just
the
going
entire
arbiter.
army. Freeze the entire army.
Just run in and kill all the factories.
Yeah, just really tough to win when you're playing from a constant SEV deficit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, he's on 22 workers right now and 1 mining base. So, kind of an impossible situation for a Terran player at this point. I felt like he had... I don't know. I felt like when he did that first attack into his 3rd base, if he had had some more tanks with the 3rd base, like if he had known where Protoss was moving, maybe like be a little bit more active with the vultures on the map and reposition your tanks at your 3rd base instead of in front of your natural,
Right.
he would have been in a lot better position in general, because if he hadn't lost that command center at his 3rd the first time around, which he almost didn't lose, to be honest, because he managed to drive the units away shortly after, I feel like it would have been a lot better for him.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Oh, yeah, Protoss slowly just taking over the entire map, spreading like a dirty parasite. But
Protoss are parasites, guys.
you heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Protoss are parasites. There we go.
How are you supposed to engage this Protoss army?
I don't know. I mean, he has a ton of arbiters. We've already learned that Rufus is really very good at engaging the Terran army in general. And Marshiell seems to be a little bit uncomfortable with his pushes, with the micro of his pushes, or the army management. Not really sure what you would call that. So it just seems like this kind of situation is very difficult, or is going to be very difficult for him to win.
Pretty sick EMPs, but I mean, it's still just too much. You can see the supply tells a story here. Even if he gets 1 or 2 stasis off, it's going to be enough. Yeah, stasis with 2 tanks. Everything else going to go down.
All right. Yeah. Nice play from Rufus overall.
Very
Of
nice.
our Marshiell, I think I'd try some 2-base timing pushes for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I feel like that's been Marshall's strongest point.
Yeah, it just seems like you let him get out of control. I mean, I guess we have to remember also that this should start with 10-15 gate. He did go up to 4 factories before he took his 3rd. All right. Marshiell is going to go ahead and GG out. Macro game on Sylphid. Very nice.
I actually liked. That was a really well executed, like heavy gateway play. I know calling it gateway man kind of is deriding the play, but I think he still expanded. He just made a tactical choice to delay his tech in exchange for putting pressure on Terran, and ended up managing to break the Terran 3rd, which made it all worth it.
All right, our 8th map tonight is going to be Overwatch. And we do have our Terran player Marshiell in the upper left. And our Protoss player Rufus in the bottom right. Currently the series victor. He took the series 5-2. We are, of course, going to be playing the last 2 games, because that is how we roll here. We play all 9 games, no matter what. And this is our second to last Apocalypse game of all time.
It's gonna happen.
Well, we'll cast together again at some point, probably. Depending on whether or not. Well, it's all dependent on you. If you manage to come back before I leave again.
Yeah, I'll come back.
Okay. I'll be waiting.
I never left. I'm just a little busier now.
Exactly.
We're good. We're good. Maybe RSL.
Yeah. I would love
Shameless
to cast more.
self-plug.
Oh, yeah.
Shameless self-plug. If you're 1400 or under and you're interested in playing in a tournament specifically designed for newer players, hit me up on Discord.
Yeah, please tell Leafs that there is want and need for him to do another season of RSL. He needs the support, guys. You gotta like go up on his DMs and be like, Leafs, we really miss RSL. Please rehost RSL and cast RSL with Strom, and then it will happen.
I need to feel powerful. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. He's very there. We have Tim supporting RSL in the observer chat. we must shower Leafs with praise. This is the only way.
This is the greatest.
He's
What even is StarCraft without RSL? That's too true.
Leafs is just he's so susceptible to praise. You just must praise his efforts, and he will respond by making more content. So just let him know that we really want RSL back. RSL, of course, standing for Rookie Star League. And yeah, and maybe it'll happen. And then you'll see me and Leafs again. We'll be able to cast RSL games.
And before I get like an 1800, can I play in RSL?
Yeah, RSL, of course, for newer players. So if you have friends that are like, I don't know about Brood War, I have never played a game like this. It all seems really competitive, and everyone seems pretty good, and I'm a brand new beginner. Fear not, because RSL would be the place for them, or the place for you, if that is you.
I don't
Right.
know. Okay, we'll get into the game. Two barracks. Okay.
I gotta say, I feel like our strong points are PvZ, but also promoting things.
Very true. We're
Yeah.
really. I don't know. What's the word? That's not promoters.
Enigmatic?
Enigmatic. That wasn't the word I was thinking at all. I mean, that's a great word. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know where you pulled that from. Okay. Yeah, gonna be no problem to hold here from Marshiell. Got an SUV on the ramp. Got multiple Marines behind it. Oh my gosh. Just pumping out Marines. Gonna get some stim. Gonna try and hit a quick timing with infantry.
Oh, I like it. I'm into it.
This is super strong.
Oh yeah? How does Provost hold?
It just comes down to targeting Marines and making sure that all your units are attacking one of their units at a time. But stim timings, I feel like, are super underrated, especially at lower levels when it's not like top tier.
Right.
It's like you can walk in a move and the onus is on Protoss to respond.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There was kind of the unfortunate fact that he had to lift one of his barracks. He has to also hide that medic. As if he pokes up the ramp with the Dragoons, he's going to know. Oh, he just pokes in to see if there's a command center. At this point, you probably suspect 2-fact, right?
That's what I would be thinking, either 2-fact or drop.
Right.
But instead, we're going to see 2 racks of cab.
See, this build I know. Because...
Oh, nice
trap on the Dragoon.
How much does he even have right now? Like, how much does Protoss have? I mean, one Dragoon. He's throwing down a support bay and 2 more gateways.
All right, but I feel like he should lose the Nexus to this, right?
It's hard to say because Marines are so good at sometimes, and then other times they just seem so fragile. So, but medics do help immensely with this fight. Don't underestimate the power of these medics.
All right, we do have a bunker rush as well. I think this really depends on Micro from this point forward. We do have the 3rd gateway. Oh, he's building a Reaver.
He's going to be able to crawl this Reaver down, which is actually super powerful. The Reaver's going to be able to hit from the high ground. The question is, will it be in time? This Nexus taking a lot of damage, and if you lose the Nexus, it really doesn't matter if you kill all of their Marines.
All right, we see him stimming to try and kill this Nexus. I think he's gonna be able to get it. Yeah.
He should be fine.
Marshiell
Marshiell hasn't expanded behind this, though.
it looks like he's still building Marines. Okay, it looks like he's gonna transition into a factory now and probably expand. The Reaver, of course, I feel like might be a problem once you get a shuttle out, though.
I actually think this could be really scary. Yeah, I think you're right. Like, this could be really scary for Terran, because Terran just doesn't have that much army compared to Protoss now.
Right.
Yeah, 8 Dragoons and a shuttle.
All right,
with a
shuttle
Reaver.
damaged. But yeah, this seems like you can just go bust their front, right? Like you should be able to just walk up and kill them, because he doesn't have any tanks. His factory just finished.
I actually I didn't mind the play, but I don't think that Marshiell transitioned fast enough.
Right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Like, you can see he's floating 800 gas, which is Terran. You need your gas units so badly. Even if you do decide to go for a bio push, you still need bio, and then like transition into bio tank.
Right. Yeah, I feel like this is actually just game. He got the Nexus, but Protoss has too much army. It doesn't matter.
This Reaver is just going to get the fatty kills on everyone.
Oh man, and then it gets sniped immediately. Nice one.
Freaking liar.
You are such a liar, though. It's true. Least the liar. Unbelievable.
A liar. What is this guy?
Yeah. What are you even doing?
Wish I could tell you.
All right, looks like Rufus gonna go ahead and go into observers.
I still feel like there's 8 Dragoons. Just push up the ramp, my dude. I guess there's nothing wrong with being cautious. There's no way you can really lose this game. As long as you don't throw it away.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing, right? Like, just patience definitely is a virtue in Brood War, because it's like, I mean, you can really, like you said, throw away games by just like trying to bust up a ramp or trying to kill somebody when you have an advantage instead of expanding and getting more workers.
100%. Like, you could double expand behind this perfectly safely, and there's not really anything Marshiell can do about it.
Right. The plan is to try and expand now, but yeah, he can just wander around and take tank fire. Oh man, he gets a second Reaver.
Yeah, those Reavers not exactly doing all they were capable of doing, but was focused on other things. Was looking back at home.
Not how unfortunate we feel about Reavers.
Yeah, I mean, it's Reavers, dude. It's Reavers.
Reaver. Yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it, man. Reaver.
I'm not trying to steal your
Your voice is like a committed low pitch. You just can't even change it. It's not possible.
Reaver.
Much better. All right, you see that Rufus is gonna go and take a third, and Marshiell just getting up his natural. We did also see just a small thing. Rufus just checked the map with some Dragoons to make sure that there was no hidden expansion anywhere, and looks like he's going to go back in and try and do some Reaver harass. Once again,
trying to see if Marshiell has the great turret walls of old.
yeah, he's pretty good with the turrets, huh?
He's
Just
pretty good.
overall.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh.
nice scarab.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh man, gets the tank immediately though. Shuttle does go down, but there's still a Reaver and a Dragoon in Marshiell's main, and I'm just not sure that he has the units to stop this at the moment. Like, he has like a Vulture.
Yeah, he doesn't have much, does he?
The Vulture doesn't actually beat the Dragoon or the Reaver. Okay, 2 tanks come back. Man, just the way that Reaver hit the Dragoon, it looked like the Scarab killed the Dragoon. I appreciated it. I appreciated it.
The Protoss friendly fire.
Yeah. Alright, so.
Dude, is it just me? This is kind of random. But do Dragoons look kind of whack in Remastered?
I don't know because I'm too new to have ever played on not remastered. The medic healing the SCVs that got shot by the Reaver.
It's not even healing, it's just glitching out. That's so sick. What?
Oh wow.
That's so wild.
Interesting. Do you remember when those 2 Ultralisks got stuck on top of each other?
Oh my gosh, that was so sick.
That was
And
crazy.
he was specifically going like 2 base Ultralisk, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Something.
No, he was just transitioning into Ultra. Like, he had gone 3H Muta, and then he just got his Ultra Tech out, and he was like trying to clear the Terran army, and he just had like 400 worth of resources stuck and unable to get apart. Yeah.
That
was
was hilarious. If you guys haven't seen that, go back and watch our old VODs. Super worth the watch.
We could also make a like a highlights reel at some point of moments.
That would be dope, actually.
That would be fun. We might have to get like everyone's input. Me and Lise don't have any of the replays, so we'd need player help for that. Maybe Aga would do it. Actually, I think Aga's pretty busy right now. His enthusiasm of videos was like 2 months ago.
He's really into videos for like 2 months. That's actually me though. I'm not gonna lie.
He was like,
really
I think he was bored, and he was like, I'm gonna make all these videos, and then he like collected a bunch of footage, and then I don't think he actually made any of them. But he just got busy, I think.
I can't believe this is transitioned into a relatively normal game, other than the fact that there's one medic just healing.
Right. I think Terran's quite far behind. I mean, he's very far behind in supply, but Protoss didn't double expand, like you were saying, so I don't know. He's behind the workers again.
Protoss is definitely very ahead here. Just if he takes a bad, there's potential if he takes a bad fight that he has the possibility. Like if he tried to go over this ramp, for instance, an obviously bad move, then Marshiell could get back into it.
Right. I mean, it seems like not really something that Rufus would do. considering how good his fights have been so far. But if he does try and push in here, maybe Marshiell will get lucky with a good engagement.
Oh, Foxbat raising a great point in chat. Marshiell's on Team Socialized Healthcare, so obviously the medic should be healing the workers.
Very true. Foxbat with the clutch points. Really, we should have him here.
Honestly, why is he not? He's like our. I'm trying to think of a sportscasting trio.
Least unit voice pack 1. Casting trio with Foxbat. I feel like Foxbat should just be like our Twitch chat. I mean, he kind of already is our Twitch chat guy.
He definitely is. He's got 10,000 channel points, and I'm kind of scared about it.
Least voice unit pack 1. Foxbat, I'm already actually an admin of IRK.
I'm down to do a voice pack. Blizzard hit me up. Get an average of 30 viewers on my stream. Let's go.
Hell yeah. That's the way we want it.
I'm better cast with a camera, coward. Wow. This guy. He's getting all feisty.
I don't have a camera.
He was talking to me.
Oh, okay. Well, you could change your ID to coward. I wouldn't complain about that.
I would.
Yeah. It should be your AKA, truly. It's definitely better than Demorsh.
Demorsh. I need an AKA.
Yeah.
That's not Nexus first.
Alright, we do have Rufus taking a 4th base with quite the supply lead. Not sure if Marshiell's planning on moving out at some point, but he's definitely going to have to do a push. Okay, Rufus trying to attack in here on 2 fronts. Coming across both the bridge and from the side. Running into a ton of mines. But he might just have enough supply to make it work.
There's just so much Protoss, yeah. It looks like Marshiell is going to GG out.
Alright, Marshiell taps out. And we do have... That's going to be 6-2 for Rufus. So I guess we will see if Marshiell can take the final game. And it is going to be on clay fields. This is our, well, I guess our second foreign made map. Eddie is also foreign made, but Clayfield's just never made it into ASL or anything. So I feel like it's special to our foreign community. Alright, let's share. This is our last Apocalypse game. We do have our Protoss player, Rufus, in the upper left-hand corner of Clayfield.
And in the top right, we have our Terran player, Marshiell.
Alright. I gotta say, it's been a lot of fun doing these show matches.
I'm getting a little nostalgic.
It's okay.
Back in
We'll
the
take
days
a
when
break.
it was just a dream.
You used to dream of what?
No, just back in the days when
Oh.
being a famous big name caster was just a dream, you know?
Alright.
But now, it's just my lifestyle.
Yeah.
I can't control it.
Back when we just casted RSL occasionally.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And after every cast, we'd be like, man, we gotta stop cutting each other off. Please, for the love of God, talk faster.
Oh, true. Oh,
Yeah,
I
we
wanna
kind of
give a
gave up
big
on that
shout out.
problem.
I want to give a big shout out to my boy BDB Rufus, one of the players in this matchup. Just an all-around great guy. Strom, you got anything to say about Rufus?
I've said a lot about Rufus, but I mean, in general, just a really big fan of the series he put forward here. He's a very new player, like I was saying. He just started playing in January, and he just played a best of 9 where he did kind of a different strategy on almost every map. So, and a lot of them were like very map specific as well. So yeah, definitely a huge fan of his series prep, also of his army engagements. I felt like they were very strong overall. And he had, like you were mentioning earlier, a couple of really good tactical plays as far as like, with the DTs on the Sylphid game and just like splitting his attention and really having a goal with his build and executing whatever his goal was.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that a good enough
Super
shout
fun
out?
to watch. Super fun to watch. Yeah, that was great.
Okay.
Very
You gave me a job, so I tried to do it well.
No, I appreciate it. I hope A+ shout out, says Rufus. All right, good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh yeah, Tim, hide the replay progress bar.
It's too late. We know it's gonna be job Carlin. What does that mean?
I don't know. Strom least Carlin, aka Stromkarlen. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, least Carlin is just basically me.
It's pretty much you carrying the team and then me just talking extremely.
You just talking about PvP while we're casting PvT. You know,
Yeah,
the classic.
classic.
I just have to be careful to ask very specific questions when we're casting PvT. Otherwise, we're screwed.
We'll get off on a tangent.
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty good at tangents in general. I feel like filling time is an important quality, but, you know.
It's a skill. Oh my gosh, 2 factories.
I love it.
2 factories. Before an expansion? What is this? 1997?
Is anyone gonna tell us?
What? Nah.
All right, sounds good. Okay,
Alright, so-
the SCP is going to go ahead and get in to the base. I think that he went 23 next again, though, didn't he? Which you said is good against T-Fact.
Yeah. 1 gate expand is pretty much exactly what you're hoping for when you go 2-fact. So we'll see if Marshiell is able to pull out exactly the same kind of magic that he pulled out in game. Was it game 1? Yeah, it was game 1.
Yeah, it was game 1 with the 2-fact.
Starting and ending with a 2-fact. I like it.
Yeah, me too. Nice.
Nice.
Foxbet, there's 2 bow holds for double base. I legitimately do not know the difference at all in any way. I could not recognize them. I think one of them is German, and I don't know which country the other one comes from, and I know absolutely nothing about them. Bases are pretty different from violins.
Really though? Are they though?
Yeah, they are. They're actually quite different because the strings are only a 4th apart in tuning instead of a 5th, and the bow hold is like completely different.
I did not actually know that about the tuning. Like I know
Yeah.
the bow hold was different because double bass is upright, right? So it's like, yeah, of course.
But I mean, you don't hold the bow like a cellist. Like you hold it different than a cellist.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Marshiell going for this vulture heavy 2-fac again. Actually managing to distract all the.
Okay,
Get
actually
some
manages
mines
in and
out.
gets some lays to mine.
Yeah.
I don't know about this build in general though.
I
Okay,
mean,
all 3 of mines go to 1 Dragoon. Going to try and get some probes in the main and lane some more mines. Not sure if his plan is to come out with tanks after this.
I think the plan. I don't know what the plan is. It's tough because if you ever just try and stop and just expand, you don't have enough army to hold your expansion. So it
Right.
seems, well, I guess you have mines, but at the same time, Rufus has observers now.
Right.
So can we just go kill you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just don't understand why you go 2-fact and not get any tanks.
Imagine not
I
using
guess-
the most broken unit in the game. Jokes.
Well,
Vultures are
I mean,
always
to be
looking.
fair, yeah, I was gonna say Vultures are the most broken unit in the game. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what's your deal, least? Oh,
freaking
my
noob?
God. Facts.
Actually. Alright, so, I mean, this build low-key tilts me sometimes, though. Because I'm just like, can they just get away with not building any tanks ever? But I don't think it's objectively good.
Alright, looks like he's gonna add one more factory. Got his expansion on the way. Protoss expansion, a little bit faster than Terran's. Did manage to reduce the worker count, but I don't think he's not really that head on workers, so I don't feel like it helped that much.
Right.
So you feel like if you're gonna go and try and kill a bunch of workers, you have to really be making sure that you're getting a lot of workers of your own.
I agree with you 100%. Especially being on one base for that long, you really need to kill a lot of workers to make sure that it's... Because at this point, it's like they're even, you know? And
Right.
Marshiell did a decent amount of damage. So think about how much damage you would have had to have done to be ahead. Like,
Right.
it would have taken so much. So that's why I'm not a huge fan. But if it works, it works, I guess. Of just the build.
Right. Looks like he's gonna move out with some tanks now. I guess, like, yeah, Tim's showing us this little bit of high ground here on clay fields can be really annoying. But like you were saying, he has that observer really fast, and I feel like throwing away these vultures.
There's just so many.
Oh my goodness. So many yawns, too.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. I've woken up at like 7 or 6:30 for the past like week and a half.
Wow. That's definitely unusual for yourself.
I know, dude. I usually stay up till I usually sleep in till like 10.
Yeah, I know because I've woken you up for 10 o'clock matches before.
Foxbat. Least can go to bed. Strong can cast the rest.
I actually need you to stay though because I have no idea what happens in PvT.
All right, fair enough.
Right. So this is a 4-fact out of that 2-fact. And he does manage to get the 2 tanks on the high ground. He's building Goliath. I guess he's low on gas. I feel like you should just pump tanks, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would definitely pump tanks and then like build vultures with the rest. One on gas. Never.
Oh.
That explains so much.
Yeah.
That's rough. I mean,
oh man, he's gonna get the shuttle bomb off too. Their vultures are not there to protect. He's gonna be able to just kill these tanks almost immediately. Nice mind drag too on the first one.
So good.
All right, gonna get both the zealots.
Think of how efficient that is for the Protoss player. Tanks cost 150, 100, and zealots cost 100 minerals, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like we were pointing out, Marshiell is actually floating 1k minerals right now. He hasn't realized that he only has 1 SCV on gas in his main.
That's so unfortunate. What a way to end the series. Just not noticing you don't have 3 on gas.
Right, and Terran builds are really technical that way too. You have to like take SCVs on and off gas. It feels kind of like DBZ with Zerg, where you have to just keep taking drones on and off gas depending on how your economy is. Right. Whereas like, unless you're playing against like Gate Expand and trying to go lair, you don't really take drones off gas as Zerg in any matchups ever.
Mm-hmm.
Except for ZBZ, where you're like constantly juggling it.
In Protoss, like as a Protoss player, you don't have to do that ever. It's so funny to me when people cut gas, and I'm just like, dude. Me and Warpgates actually timed it. Warpgates was super insistent on cutting gas for 21 Nexus, and then we timed it, and he got his Nexus like a second and a half faster than me.
and I still
Oh,
got my
wow.
robo faster than him. So I was like, all right, I think we're good. We do see big engage coming in. Rufus with the fatty A move. Gotten a
Oh, he's
lot of units.
microing it. He's not A moving. Look at the zealots. They're running past and hitting all the mines. Come on, man.
I'm just playing.
You're a Protoss player. How do you not know this stuff? All right, GG is called.
Some good manners. Way to finish it up. GG. Rufus played super well.
Yeah, he
Marshiell
really
played
did.
well as well, but Rufus just on a whole other level.
Yeah, really, really nice games from Rufus. Do we have him in the chat, by the way? Does he want to come and do an interview? I saw he was
Rufus.
watching earlier. Yeah. We'll give him a sec. If you want to just come join the call. We can do an interview. Because I think he was watching it. He's still awake. It was just Marshiell that had to go to sleep. Alright, looks like we're gonna get Rufus to join the call.
Dope.
Hello.
Hey man, how are you?
I'm good.
Oh, you're a little quiet. I don't know. Maybe I can
Am I?
boost you up myself. Yeah, you are quiet.
How about that?
Just a little bit better.
How about that? Is that
I
am I
can't-
fixing it all?
Yeah, you're getting a little bit louder. Call. I know. I thought I could.
I think I have it on max, so
Oh, that's a lot better.
oh, okay, cool.
All right.
Is it too loud?
No, it's wonderful.
Okay.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, really good. So, 9-game series, 7-2. Very nice score, very impressive games. Like I was saying when I gave you a shout out, I really liked your series prep, especially. You pulled out, I think, different strategies on almost every map. I am curious how much how you planned all of those different strategies, how you practiced them, how much this had to do with models, and how specific they were for each map.
Yeah, so I guess before the series, I had actually basically only done 23 and 28 Nexus. Those were kind of my builds. And so most of the stuff other than that I did here were things that I practiced specifically for the show match. And that was one of my big goals for the show match, was bringing in variety and doing different builds. So yeah, a lot of it was just stuff that I practiced. Like especially I would say the 2-gate goon rush with both the bulldog and the knot, just to kind of mix it up. Those were builds that were specifically for models that I'd worked on. And then also the zealot pressure builds with like the 3 zealot attack early on.
Right, and the forward gateway as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on both builds, I tried to do like a mix up where I had 2 builds that were kind of similar but different, right? Where one was the gateway and the main one was the proxied gateway. And then with the 2-gate, I did the bulldog and also a expand behind it on the other map, so on Sylphid.
Yeah.
Right, so I did it on Tau Cross, and on that one I did the
yeah.
bulldog. Yeah. And then on Neo Sylphid, I did it without the bulldog and just an expansion.
Right. So did you, when you were practicing all these strategies, did you have them picked per map, or were you just kind of pulling them out as the series went along?
A couple of them were picked per map. Like Tau Cross, I was for sure going to do that strategy. And then some of them were just kind of reactions to how I felt about Marshiell's play. So a little bit of both.
All right. The other game that I think me and Lise both found really interesting was the 10-15 into the fast gateways on Sylphid. I'm imagining that like faster gateways and slower expanding was meant to bust his third, like you did. But it was just like did you think about that beforehand? Like you're planning to do a bust on the third, or just because you got the gateways before you expanded? It seemed like a very specific decision.
Yeah, so a lot of the games where, I don't know, like for that one specifically, a lot of times when I do a build that delays my observer, I'm a lot less confident because if you get an observer, like if you get a fast robo, with 2 or 3 gates and an observer into Terran's main, and you can see the factory count, you can see when the third CC comes down, you can see if they're throwing down armories or not. I'm a lot more comfortable. So a lot of the gateways is just because I'm not sure what I'm facing, and so it was kind of more of like, I'm gonna throw it on gateways in case it's like a um 4 or 5 fac, and if he does end up doing 3 bases, I'll try to just overwhelm with gateway units.
Right, right. Um, okay. So I felt like you played a really good series. Oh, actually, one more build I want to ask you about, the DTs on Bloody Ridge into the recall first.
Yeah, that was also specifically for that map. I wanted to do DTs at least once during the series, and I don't know. I actually felt like one of the things Marshiell did really good is like there was always turrets everywhere. So I was kind of surprised when I got there and there wasn't any detection.
Right. I guess you
But
got a
yeah,
lot of SCVs with the DTs early on though.
yeah, I think I did a lot of early damage, and then I just wanted to kind of do some fast recalls because there's a huge open main, so it's kind of hard to block all the angles you can come in from.
Right.
And I think it's
Um
a good follow-up off of DT because you get a lot faster than Terran would expect.
oh, for sure. Yeah, that game looked really strong as well. Definitely like really a lot of really specific strategies, and I felt you executed them quite well, especially just like really keeping your focus on what the point of your build was. I feel like you did that really well. I think that's like, I don't know how you feel about this, Lise, but like a mistake I see a lot in like CPL level players is they'll be like executing a build or a strategy and um not see in their head how they're going to win the game always. And I felt like when I was watching you play, I could always see that you were thinking about how you were going to win the game.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. You started playing very recently. Just in January, you told me earlier. Can you so this is your first CPL.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind hearing a little bit from you about how your kind of transition into Brood War has been, how it's felt, and how your improvement has felt. Because obviously, having started in Tier 3 at the beginning of this CPL season and moved all the way up to Tier 1, you're doing quite well.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Brood War is a hard game, right? Like that's everyone knows it. That's tried to play it. But it's also like a very rewarding game. So like there's definitely been a lot of just like having to put in the time and put in the practice. I also think there's kind of like a steep learning curve. So um for me, like the hardest part, like I've wanted to start playing Brood War for a long time. And what always kind of put me off is just like how much initial time I felt like I had to put in to even like know what to do in a standard game at all. And then I guess just like for me the hardest thing was just getting over that hurdle and just being like, you know what, at the end of the day, like learning to play to have fun and just kind of uh play casually, and that way that like that's a I think that's a good way to get into it because then you're just having fun, and then eventually you transition to uh, wanting to do more specific practice and practice for specific things like that.
Right. And we also had, like, as far as CPL goes, we do have coaches. Of course, Models
Mhm.
wasn't with us at the beginning of the season. He did join partway through, and he was kind of your assigned coach for this match specifically. So, how has working with Models been for you? And like, how do you think that style has meshed up? And do you feel like you've learned a lot in the period of time you were able to work with him?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. One of the biggest things. So I actually last night uh, was working with models, and one of the things we were working on was just for probably over an hour of just late game PVT engagements, and I feel like that was one of the things that like I was really happy with today was how I was able to engage and deal with late game fights because that had been something I'd been struggling with in the past. So that was something he for sure helped a ton with. And in general, like it's just super handy to kind of talk with someone who is able to see my games from like a higher level and just say, okay, these are the things that you should focus on and work on. And then for me to be able to ask specific questions about like, okay, in this situation, I have no idea what to do. Like what would you do? So it's been super helpful. He's been awesome.
Right. I definitely saw that work in army engagements today. Really liked your army engagements in like basically all of the games. I thought you did a really good job.
Thanks.
Do you have anything else to ask, Least? Being a Protoss player yourself.
Being a Protoss player myself, really, the only thing I wanted to ask was the Neo Sylphid game, but you already covered that. So
Damn. No questions, Least?
no questions. I
No
would hate to
questions.
I would hate to change things up when it's been working so well so far.
All right. Well, I thought you played very, very well today. Wonderful job with your prep. I hope you feel like you have improved the CPL season because there is definitely the proof that you have. So very good job, very convincing win today, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, good job, man.
All right. This is the end, guys. I guess just before we finish this off, we should probably give a really big shout out for everyone who has produced / observed for us on all of our Apocalypse matches that we've done in this season of CPL. So first off, we have Cold Warp Gates, who has done the majority of the matches, has helped us a lot. And just really good observer, really great guy. So thank you to him for helping us sort all of this out. Then we also have Zeno Acoop, who hasn't produced any matches for us, but observed a ton of them before we got this Twitch thing set up. So thank you to him. Shout out to Tim as well, who is observing and producing for us today and observed some matches in the past as well. And then we've also had Relentless do one and Death Star do one. Have we had anyone else, Least?
Nope, you covered them all.
All right.
I'm
So shout out
100%
to those. Yeah, shout out to those 5 people for being just excellent, great people. Thank you so much for being allowing us to do a Showmatch series like this. And thank you to everyone who has played and played multiple times and come on for interviews and just generally been a good sport with the whole production thing we have going on here. So thank you to all the players who have played all those games. There's been a lot of games played and a lot of really, really great games this season of CPL. So thank you so much for putting the time and effort into preparing those matches and allowing us to put on the Showmatch series.
And I want to give just a big shout out to everyone that has spent any time at all enjoying the Apocalypse series. We really appreciate your guys' support. I've gotten a bunch of nice messages, whether suggestions or just telling me you enjoyed the series. And it's just been an absolute pleasure to do it for you guys. So I'm glad that I hope that you all got as much enjoyment out of it as I did.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, same to all of that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate the support. And yeah, CPL is almost over. We have the playoffs this week and next week. We do have that masterclass with Astro, aka Chris, on Monday evening. That's going to be a Terran masterclass. So for sure tune into that because I think it'll be really good. It's going to be on Keen's channel. And as far as me and Lise go, well, I guess we'll try and cast RSL or other things in the future. I think we'll definitely be taking a bit of a break for now. But I think we're also going to have a coaching stream for this match with Cryok and Models coming up. So stay tuned for that. I haven't scheduled it or anything yet. But hoping to have that happen as well before the end of CPL.
All right. Is this it?
I think this is it.
All right. I finally got a good sign off. For everybody here at the Apocalypse crew, this is Least. We'll see you next time. Except there is no next time.
All right. Well, you will
All
see
right.
me and Lise casting together again at some point, I'm sure.
Appreciate all you guys. We'll see you in the future. We'll be around. You guys have a great day.